Why, hello there. Welcome to Bungles After Dark. I am your Reverend of the Evening. I don't know why I said that, but Gaming Jason, as always. And in today's episode, after our long 2-week siesta, is our top 3. And as always, I am joined by my follower, Gaming Greg. How are you, sir?
We really got to work on your intro stuff.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back. But we got to work on that just a smidgen, I think.
Yeah.
Reverend, huh?
Yeah, I am now. I was gonna try to be like more like I just went with it at this
More of a
point.
celestial thing. Is that what we're
Yeah,
going
it's a
for?
celestial thing. I mean, we are talking about the greatest faction of all time and bringing people into the Church of Silvermoon.
The Church of Silver. I don't think Silvermoon's a church,
I
although they
mean,
would probably run one to avoid taxes or something like
yeah,
that.
that's what I was kind of thinking. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if we're needing to avoid taxes, I mean, clearly we need a grandmaster to hold all our money. So that's why we have Grandmaster Cody.
I didn't know that tax evasion came with being a grandmaster.
It does now.
Who knows? I think he's making a lot of this up on the fly, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I am ordained now, so I guess I could be the reverend.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's hear it for the internet. Everybody could be ordained.
Yes, unministry.com, $35, 5 minutes.
It sounds almost dirty the way you're putting it.
Like
It
how
was great.
Silvermoon plays.
Yes.
That is of all the schemes that I've heard of, that is the most Silvermoon-esque scheme I've ever heard. Yes. And yeah, I don't even know where to go with that.
I mean, I was gonna use the excuse of Labor Day as like Silvermoon Labor Day for why we haven't been on for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so
I thought that would have been good, and I just kind of it fell through. I didn't try to like work out a script this morning
that's all right.
for opening intro.
Who scripts anything?
Yeah, this is pretty much as unscripted as it gets, kind of. So yeah, we've been away for a couple weeks. There was a battle report we kind of snuck in there, but for the podcasting stuff, we were taking a little bit of break. Life apparently happens.
Yeah.
And lots of things are going on here. We had the holiday for us in the United States where we got a nice 3-day weekend, and then just a whole bunch of other junk. So finally, as we slowly approach the October and Oktoberfest and all the rest of that, we're gonna jump back into it. We got to get all the top threes and themes done before the World Cup.
Yeah, that's true.
I gotta get ready for that. Many days off in my future, I see. So with that, we. Plus, on the release front, there wasn't a whole bunch out there that I remember seeing. I know there's been some chatter. There's been some tournaments here, tournaments there, but nothing too huge, nothing grandmaster-ish where we get to congratulate a new grandmaster or something like that. And even on the wave front, I don't think there's had anything that's been big on the waves. No,
There was just I don't remember if we talked about it last time or not, but the resculpt of Hiroto.
I think we talked about that because that was when we did that's when we did Gen Con haul and our special.
Well, we talked about it, yeah, but so it's up for pre-order or whatever now.
So
whatever. Yeah,
nothing too big. No new figures or new resculpts to speak about to kind of show off, which we really did do a good job showing off anyway.
Not unless we're all going to jump into that Relic Blade thing that Brian showed us about. Like a couple.
Then that's just other games. There's the Relic Blade, there's the Drowned Earth, there's the
Return of the Squats,
which if you're into the evil GW Empire, good luck playing them in a tournament. Because they're banned.
Wow, that was quick.
I think there are a lot of people are waiting for FAQs to come out on them, but from the very little research I did into it, they're the new super broken thing.
Yeah, power gamers will just buy them.
Power gamers rejoice.
Them.
By the time Adepticon rolls around in March, I'm pretty sure it'll be all thrashed out. They'll be tweaked down some, but you're probably gonna see a lot of doors. But I'll be honest, they look freaking cool.
They do.
So I'll give them that.
And by Adepticon, you'll probably need 37 books to play them.
Well, that's a good one.
That's any faction.
Pretty sure there's going to be a new rule set coming out by then too.
True.
Anyway, so yeah, just it was just kind of I think of it as a nice 2 weeks off for us. It was a little bit of a break. Wish I
Just
would have
because,
gotten a few more battle reports in, but yeah, that's life.
yeah, I was gonna say I just needed time off because I had a heck of a time trying to figure out a top 3 for Silvermoon.
I will have to admit, I'm in the same boat with that.
Yeah,
So
I could see that. I mean, it wasn't terribly difficult, but there's like, you can kind of go. It was almost kind of the same thing. Like I had the issue with the Savage Wave a
yeah,
little bit.
It was more of like, am I thinking Jade Rose? Well, then that's a whole different set of models. Am I
mhm.
thinking, going more Butos? Well, that's a whole different set. Am I going traveling show? It just, or themeless. So I just kind of picked one of each,
Are you picking
rolling
your
with it.
top 3 models that traumatized you the most that I played?
That's probably the one that
No,
I'm picking.
actually, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
That might be what I'm picking.
Well, one of them, but
One, maybe two. I don't know. All three.
All 3. Any model that Jason touches traumatizes me.
I was of the same mind. It's
correct.
am I gonna pick my top one Shite? Am I gonna pick my top my top Rose? Am I gonna pick my top Buto? Am I gonna pick my top Ayubin? There's so many different ways to do it, and
Well,
yeah.
and then there's packages in that too, like
Mhm.
Fijin and the urchins. Like,
Well,
not saying you have to take it as a package, but
right.
it's
They're meant to be a package and to an extent.
yeah, and they work better that way, but they also have their place working alone.
Mhm.
But that was
Mhm.
just the thing. See, same with the Buto and stuff too. It was like, do I like Oda and Tantalo, or do I like just
Just
Oda
Oda.
or just Tantalo?
Right. Yeah, yeah, and because, I mean, it's a big point investment, especially am I taking the model just for the support aspect for it? Or am I taking it for the ass kicking aspect? Or am I totally sadistic and I'm gonna combine both of them together and kinda do things half-ass? I don't know if I could
That
call
was
that
that
half-ass.
it
I
it
know
is
that was your
it
Adepticon
it's like
list
it is
there,
kinda
Jace.
half-assed, but then I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this half-assed, but let's see what happens if I just decide to go balls to the wall and beat people up," which, I mean, it surprisingly worked well.
Yeah, it did.
So, I mean, as Oda and Tantalo on the statue on the double up together, I mean, it is kind of half-assed for what they do, but, I mean, if you decide that you wanna try to go full support with them, you can. You still have a really nasty beater you can use. Otherwise, if you just want him to be selfish and be like, "Go kill stuff," he can go do it and be like, "I
Good.
did this awesome."
Yeah.
So, yeah. So for those people who are newish, so we don't normally talk about, new faction and whatnot, but Silvermoon kinda I would say next to Ito, Silvermoon's probably the faction that our meta, and by our meta, I mean the three of us that are here, uh, um, have probably played or played against the most.
Yeah.
Ito probably being number two because, well, me and Jason kind of lock in on one faction and we're like hyper cheap. I mean, like mega super hyper cheap and
Yeah,
just
YouTube is the only time that this has forced us to get more than one faction.
yes, it has. Plus we're slow painters, so
And
just
I'm just a completionist and I need to own everything.
gotta
Yeah.
catch them all, Cody. Gotta catch
Yeah.
them all. You are a marketer's dream, by the way, Cody. So we'll just
Oh
leave it
yeah.
at that.
Impulse buys.
Exactly.
They have an altar to you in each, like, gaming company's firm, be like,
Something like that.
"This is the
It's a
ideal
little
gamer we
voodoo doll
want."
of him. Bye.
A little voodoo
They
doll.
got little builds coming out of its hand.
Right.
Put a little miniature in his hand. There you go. But for those of you who are looking to get into the game or are new to the game and are thinking about Silvermoon, we'll do a really quick round robin. What stands out to you and Jason and Cody? What stands out to you about Silvermoon? I will give my really brief run of it right now. If I had to sum up Silvermoon in like one or two sentences, if you and I've said this to a bunch of players in our local store when we introduce them to Silvermoon, if you don't want if you don't want your opponent to use their figures except maybe on turn one, Silvermoon is the faction for you.
Yeah, that's a pretty good explanation for
I,
them as a
and yeah, and what I mean quickly by how use them is you're not going to get to use them to the full effect because it's not that they have a whole lot of control because they don't, but they do.
Right.
I mean, they don't overtly put the control markers. I mean, there's a couple models that can do it, but they could just screw with you in so many ways that you are not running your plan the way that you want to. You will never be, you may not be able to use a model when you want to use it because you're being forced to use something else, or you got to do this, or just when you think you have your dice roll, no, you don't. So that's what I mean by, turn one is probably going to be the only turn that you're really going to realistically be able to do everything with your models that you want to do. But of course, it's turn one, so it's move up the board for the most part. After that, sit back and enjoy the ride.
Pretty much.
I think what I said to kind of sell Jason, because you weren't 100% sold on a faction yet, was basically
it was cult until you told me, Jason, stop picking the undead cheating faction. It turned into the living cheating faction.
Yeah, I was like, do you want to play Yakuza that manipulate the game like dice and stuff?
Mm-hmm. That's probably a better explanation. Yeah,
they control dice, rerolls. They have the
order of activations.
Order of activations. It's almost like playing against a blue deck in Magic.
Yes,
it is. It is the blue deck, which sucks, which is sad because whenever you guys get me into Magic, I go buy like the $10 starter deck. I always buy the red one because it's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that blue deck shit. I'm gonna do red deck.
It's simple and straightforward. That's my
deck.
I know. It is. That's what we'll do, an episode on what faction is each Magic deck color.
That would actually be kind of fun to do.
That could be interesting. Yeah,
that would be a fun one.
But tonight is top 3. We're going to change it up just a little bit due to some suggestions on how we're doing the top 3 format. Normally you listen to, me drone on about my top 3, Jason drone on about his top 3, Cody drone on about his top 3, and then we kind of mingle it all together. Instead tonight, exciting, each one of us will give our number 3, then each one of us will give our number 2, and then finally our number 1s. Maybe we'll go into, and then if time allows, time always allows, we will go into our
honorable mentions
and then try to do a wrap up on it. So with that being said, we totally did not do any kind of random draw. So I'm just going to have Jason kick things off because he is the he is the Ayubin of
Silvermoon,
of the Grognard sect of Silvermoon.
You could say North America.
Could.
Well,
but we won't.
No. No.
Just definitely of Schaumburg.
Well, because didn't Carl win with Silvermoon? He won the Grandmaster and made Karu.
No, that was
Imperial March.
Oh yeah,
he was playing Imperial March.
Yeah,
so
like that.
That's why he made a Ronin.
But it was Silvermoon.
Could have been. I don't know. I wasn't paying. I was too stressed out about
doing the Grandmasters.
Well, no. This year he was definitely playing Silvermoon Imperial March.
Yeah.
It was the year that he won.
That was when I got destroyed playing Tengu.
Yeah, I don't remember. That's where I was.
You were in like
the top second
tables.
table, and then dropped all the way to like 5th because I got rickrolled by another Ito list. It was the last heyday of Ito. We both destroyed each other. That's why neither of us ended in first place. Because I think I held him to a 2-0 victory rather than getting the 3-0. Because I knocked out his VIM. Which then dropped him to like 2nd or 3rd. And then I dropped all the way to 5th. And Carl got up into 1st. So yeah, it was
something like that.
The highlight of the whole damn thing for me that year was just beating our 4th who never shows up because he's was just beating Josh and watching him cry, literally. He was so angry.
Yeah,
so angry.
I have to start painting his figures so I get them done on time.
I see.
All right, so Jason, we will start with you. I'm going to get things ready here. So what is your number 3?
So I took a Buto as my number 3. I was kind of all over the place because Silvermoon's got so much damn support that, I mean, like, if I could easily just be like, here are all the best models in Silvermoon. They're all support pieces. But then that, to me, runs into Silvermoon's trap, which is, oh, I can easily buy all these awesome support models. And it's like, oh, who's going to fight for me? It's okay. I got all these awesome support models. And then you don't end up doing
each
too well.
other to get beat down.
Pretty much. So that's why I was like, if I do have to pick one of the Butos that I do like quite a bit, I took Yokozuna Akashi as my number 3.
Okay.
Interesting.
So
It
let
was
me,
a really
go ahead.
close draw between him and Manu, to be honest, but I just favored Yokozuna a little bit more, just on a couple of key differences.
So
So for
let me run
me,
through them real quick
yeah.
before you get into them. So Yokozuna Akashi is a Buto. That's his keyword. 20 rice cost. His pool's 3 melee pool, which he could boost by spending 3 key, 4 movement pool, 1 range, so not likely to be shooting anything. 2 key, he gains 2 and can hold up to 6 on his key. Again, the only thing that's boostable is the melee pool. He has a melee weapon, which is Jumo, so basically he's wrestling you. Melee,
Yeah,
melee
like he's got his
strength of
giant ass
2.
hammer too.
Well, that might be it. Maybe that's what's called the Jumo.
Well, everything, they're all Jumo for their +2. It's just,
there you
I
go.
think they just reference it to like their immense strength.
Yeah, that works. Melee strength of 2, push defense 0, throw defense 0. He is aware. He has endurance. He has fear 4, fearless, fortune, immovable, and tough 1. 3 key feats: mocking blow, which costs 2 key, active, and only affects himself. Promo, which is 2 key, instant, target something out to 8 inches and is opposed key feat. And finally, rally, which is 3 key, active, and it has an 8-inch pulse. So what exactly do those key feats do? Good question. That's the wrong guy. No, that's the right guy. Mocking blow. When this model deals damage as a result of a melee exchange, the opposing model gains an impetuous marker. Remember how we were saying you're not necessarily going to be able to control the model in the order that you like? Ding, 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 ding. Promo. Whenever target model makes a fear test, which Butos are fear 4, against a Buto model, the Buto gains terror. So, yeah, suck it. No reroll. Or reroll if you succeed, or if you're brave, no reroll. Hooray! Rally, remove frightened state from all friendly models in the pulse. So that's really nice, but I don't see Butos getting too scared too often, but it happens. He has one unique effect. While this model has 2 or more unmarked wound boxes, reduced any damage taken to ensure that this model has at least 1 unmarked wound box. So kind of like a pseudo durable, you'd almost say.
It's like a last ditch effort, I
So
call
basically,
it.
if you kill him, he's going to have 1.
Yeah, or if you can't one shot him.
Can't one shot him when he has 2 unmarked left.
Yeah, when he has 2
Now, if he's 3, you could totally one shot him, but it's 2, not so much. Okay, so and he's on a medium base.
So if he has 1 wound, you can't do it. If he's got 2 or more, then you can't one shot. You can't one shot him.
Well, if he's got 1 left, then
yeah,
all you
well,
gotta do is 1. If he's on his last 2, you're gonna need 2 shots to take him out.
Pretty much.
All right. So with that being said, Jace, go ahead and run us through why he is your number 3.
So the first thing I listed with him, he's Manu-like without the Oda support needed. And the only reason why I say needed is that I personally rank throw defense a little bit higher than throw attack in specialty attacks that I use. Manu has it, but he's got to pay 1 die for it. So he's either got to boost himself or he's got to pay for that die somehow or have a virtue token with Odo running with him. Yokozuna just gets throw defense naturally, which I know that I frustrate the hell out of people using it all the time as much as I can. And the other big thing too is that he has fearless, which I mean it doesn't happen because I think all the Buto have steadfast.
Maybe I'd have to.
I know they have bravery, but I think they also have steadfast as a backup. On the off chance that I do screw up a fear check, I mean he's fearless, so I don't have to worry about that. And it's not like the end of the world where again can't pick my dice, but having 1 die down it saves me a die.
It does. It's very helpful. Being fearless, just you don't lose activations, you don't do all that stuff. But if steadfast would prevent it, you're right.
And then I put surprise killer, and that just mainly goes down to his special effect, where it's like if I think that I maybe have someone in like a blind bluff a little bit, I just have him flying in there, and someone's like, all in attack, and they think that they really ricked him. Well, he's still gonna live. As long as they come into me with like combo, then I got to be a little bit more careful with it. But I could take out a model. It will probably cost him in the next activation, but I can do it if I really need to. It's a better long shot that I could. It's a long shot that I feel comfortable that he'll take something down with his specialty ability. And then, I mean, honestly, as a Buto, he does everything that I want and just a little bit more. He does have some good supporting abilities. Realistically, I don't use his key feats too often. They're more situational. Rally is probably the one that I would end up using quite a bit if I needed to, because especially if I'm playing like a lot of Shitai, or if he's an Iron Fist, because then I can remove the fear off of everybody, and all my little mooks are just key one. So on high fear armies, I'm probably failing a lot of those fear tests. Mocking Blow is nice if I need it situational, where it's like, oh, I'm fighting a tireless model. Yeah, I need to use Mocking Blow to make sure that it attacks me again. And then Promo, it's a cool ability. I don't think I've actually had a situation where I've needed to use Promo, or had it where I've used Promo. And that's probably just more speaking to me, just how I use them. But it's again, it's a situational ability that I haven't seen myself use, but I could try to use it if the right situation came up. But with all my Butos being Fear 4, it's again, it's got to be the right model that's going into them.
I would say if you're going to be tied up by one key model, you're probably thinking about you might be thinking about using Promo, just so that way if they make it, they have to make it again. But it's too key to do it, so it's one of those.
Do I really want to risk using it, or do using
it? It's really big if you don't want to get tied up. I guess is what it boils down to.
Yeah. So I mean that's kind of why I picked him as a number 3.
Okay.
Like I said, he's out of all the I could easily be swayed the other way to take Manu, because I just have always really liked Manu. But I think that he just does a little bit more for me, and it's just I can more reasonably justify him being like a number 3.
Okay, I don't disagree with all those. I don't like any of the Butos, and just in case anybody was wondering, all the Butos except, oddly enough, Tantalo have Steadfast.
It's because he has Fearless. I believe either that or it's Oda that gives it to him. I thought that both of them had it.
No, he does. Oh, he does have Fearless. You are correct.
That's I was going to say, I know Oda has I know he has it, but I thought also Tantalo had it too.
You are correct, sir. You, sir, are correct. All right, so that is
the Silvermoon Master.
You are. So you wanted to be the very best, like no one ever was.
Pretty much. So instead of
them is your real test.
Pretty much.
Throw them around as your cause.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm basically Gary Oak, and this whole I'm the Gary Oak of Bushido at this point. Where it's like,
it wasn't Gary Oak like the asshole of the whole thing. Oh, okay.
Because I'm playing Silvermoon, so clearly I am the Gary Oak of.
I would just like to say this for those who are in our local meta that may accidentally be listening to this. Jason has just admitted that he is the asshole player. So.
Okay.
So for those of you who might have felt bad because we're always being mean to him, he's just fessed up to it.
Okay. Yeah. If I'm going to play into this, I may as well. I'll be the evil. At this point, I may as well just be the evil guy.
I think you need to get a little cheesier mustache if you're going to do that.
I do, or I think what I need to do is I need to do what the Buffalo Bills do, and I just need to start throwing myself into tables and breaking them.
Tables. You're just going to jump onto card tables.
Yes, light them on fire and jump into the card tables.
Good Lord.
I'm going evil. Right. I'm going full stream evil.
So
just have tables set up outside Adepticon next year.
I'm gonna take one. I'll take one to RockCon. We'll see how that goes. See if we ever get invited back to that. What the hell is he doing? Oh, it's a tradition. Don't worry. Don't want to mess with his religion. All right, so Cody, that was Jason's number 3 was Yokozuna Akashi. Someone will have to be keeping track of this because I know I sure as hell won't. So Cody, what is your number 3 then?
My number 3 is Manu.
Oh, delicious. Let me pull him up.
Okay, well, now I feel slightly better.
Go ahead and give us here he is. Oh, that was easy. There. Manu,
the man.
The big man mountain that is Manu, which I really wanted to get that alliteration in, so I'm glad I got it. So he is another 20-point Buto with a melee pool of 3 that is boostable by spending 3 key. Movement 4, range 2, so he's a little better shot than Yokozuna. It's probably because Yokozuna's got that eye patch, so he has no depth perception.
Yeah, that's probably
he should only cost 16 then.
He should, but as he's not going to, you don't have to make a test to throw something. So he should, everybody else should be able to throw D3. He could only throw D2.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
House
our
rule.
personal house rule, yeah. Key for Manu is 2/6. So he gets to carry and can hold up to 6. He's Jumo, so +2 melee strength, throw attack 0, push defense 0, and throw defense 1. His traits, he is aware. He has bodyguard Ayubin, Psycho Coleman, and that's within 2 inches. So he's got to be a little closer than most, but he is on that medium base, so that might make up for it. He has bravery, endurance, fear 4, fortune, immovable, steadfast, and tough. 1 key feat is umbrella block, which is costs 2 key, instant is personal. And for those of you who are not familiar with umbrella block, well, umbrella block. This model gains parry 1 until the current action is resolved. So really nice for doing your defensive stuff. Unique effects. This is kind of cool because I don't see it
Oh,
come up that
damn.
much.
Okay. I have not read Manu's card in forever, so I've just learned
Oh,
something
goodness.
important today.
This model may use bodyguard trait while exhausted. So normally you cannot bodyguard if you are exhausted. Manu, on the other hand, can. While this model declares the use of bodyguard it gains fearless until the current activation is resolved. So
Huh.
having endurance and being able to do bodyguard while exhausted, pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tell us more about
So,
Manu.
yeah, the unique effects really were kind of the big selling point for my choice in Manu, mostly because with Silvermoon, you're going to have a lot of bodyguard options just with all the support pieces. So being able to bodyguard while exhausted, and then also getting fearless if something like Ryujin moves in against, your wimpy little support piece, then Manu's just like, whatever. So that was kind of the big thing. The other thing is having the options of both throw attack and throw defense.
Yes.
Even
Yeah.
though you have to pay for the throw defense, again, with all the support pieces, you're probably going to get something to get that throw defense at 0, but I'd rather have both options and always keep my opponent, guessing what I'm going to do, and then you can completely throw them off and just do a push defense out of a zone or something if needed.
All right. Well, and
Throw attack has always been like an ass to me because, like, whenever I'm like, oh, throw attack because it makes sense, like, strategically to do it, and then I end up rolling so high on the success chart where it's like I could have just killed you outright in this.
it is a bummer. Yes.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, but for the most part, when you throw something, that combat is essentially taking 2 actions if they don't have immune prone or jump up.
Yeah.
Or the other thing that the other thing you're doing is while somebody may be saying, "Oh, I'm going to lock this dude up with a crappy little 1 key model, and I'll just go defensive all the time." All right, so you get the throw attack off, you pick them up, and oh yeah, by the way, that model that you were thinking of coming in and moving me in to kill, your Hiroto Black Eagle or whatever. Here, I just chuck this little dude into him, and now you're both prone.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
So that
Thank you for making it easier now to put the explicit marker on.
I did that when I said that you were an asshole. So
Yeah, but that's okay. You can say that.
That's
on
okay because
television.
it's truth. That doesn't get an explicit. No, you're not.
exactly. No, I'm
For
just
all
kidding.
those people, I am sorry. He is not that bad. Jason is a wonderful human being.
It's my dice that everybody
Jason's-
hates.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It's his dice, and it doesn't matter what dice he uses. They're all
or what game.
terrible. Yeah, or what game. They're all.
It could be.
He could go from playing something like Bushido needing 5s and 6s and getting those all the time to something like Risk where you need 1s and 2s or whatever. I think it's Risk you need to roll low.
Yeah.
Whatever game, and
yeah.
it would just work out for him.
I don't want to play him in Yahtzee.
No.
I need a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to win. Fuck you.
Exactly. But yeah, so anyway, that's why Manu is my pick. Just he's got offensive tech, he's got defensive tech. He's just solid, a lot of wounds. I was kind of in the same boat as Jason, going back and forth between like him and Yokozuna Akashi, because
I mean, it works. They're 20 points, so it's like pick one or the other, or take both, and then it's awesome.
Exactly, and it's kind of like I feel like Yokozuna is more of your aggressive piece. He's the one you're wanting to go out and kill stuff. Where Manu's like, I'm gonna chill in a zone and just no one's coming in here with me, or I'm gonna start
And
throwing
protect.
bodies around the place to tie up charge lanes, stuff like that.
Or
Right.
protect the support pieces for when Black Eagle jumps your back and like,
Yeah,
oh crap.
Definitely.
Well,
Definitely,
especially
yeah.
with the gotcha with the unique effect, because
Mhm.
I mean, not that it's hidden or anything, but like Jason said, he just
I wasn't
hasn't
aware of
read
it
his
because
card
I
in a
haven't
I was
while.
the
used it.
same way. You
Yeah.
know, he's the great piece to protect everybody's favorite dude, everybody's favorite tax collector, Old Zoe. Old Zoe, because you want Old Zoe in the middle of the board or as close to it to be able to really get that tax ability out there.
Mhm.
But then he's at risk of getting beat up. So in a zone mission, what's really cool is Mono could sit in the zone with Old Zoe. As long as Manu can see the attack coming, which with awareness he can.
Yep.
Good luck surprising him. He's going to switch, and he's exhausted, but he has endurance. So
Not a big deal.
yeah. So and then he picks you up and throws you somewhere. Ta-da!
Exactly.
Uh,
Thus allowing him to bodyguard again.
exactly. And then Old Zoe says, "Oh, for your help, you're going to get all this key."
And gives
And
him
then
I
he
don't know
has
why
more.
I'm talking
10,
like that.
10 or whatever.
Yeah, he can hold up to 10.
Yeah, he's disgusting. He might be one of our other top 3. Who knows?
It's a really good pick. There's a
Could
lot of
be.
really good picks
So many
out
good
there.
picks. So, anything else you would like to say about Manu with your number 3?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so. He is probably my favorite sculpt out of the Butos.
You know what? I have to. I like out of the sculpts. I like Yokozuna Akashi a lot.
Yeah,
But I mean, if I'm looking at what is a straight up Buto sumo kind of guy, Manu
Yeah.
definitely is it.
yeah. I mean, I like all the sculpts, even Lua, but
Oh,
I
Lua's pretty cool.
I just kind of like I've got this giant, robe and
Got this
big
giant dude
belly.
who's gonna come and he's basically looking like he's ready to take you down.
I
Well,
almost
exactly.
wish you could put him like in a tuxedo kind of looking thing and put some shades on him. That would be a really
Oh,
good
that
one.
would be
I
awesome.
could use him in a shadow run mission then as a bodyguard or
He's a
something like that.
bouncer.
Yeah.
I think that was in the game, one of the narrators or something.
Mm. I think it was. You're right. All right. So that was Cody's number 3. So now I'm going to mess with the both of you with my number 3.
Is
You're
it
gonna
gonna
love
be
this.
Fuku?
I'm preempting you guys. I'm pulling this one out
He's getting
right away.
Wasapu out right out of the gate.
Oh, dude.
Damn, you're gonna disgrace our Lord and Savior at the number 3 spot.
That is my number 3 is Wasapu.
Oh my god.
So
Oh my Wasapu.
Wasapu is one of those that will be in every list
If you don't take Iron Fist, yes.
if you don't take Iron Fist. So that's
Or Yokozuna
the
Revenge.
caveat on it. So let me run through Wasapu and then we'll go. Then I'm sure all 3 of us will all give our. Jason will give his why Wasapu is my favorite freaking guy, and me and Cody will bitch about him nonstop. So Wasapu, he is an 11-point Shaite, so he's just kind of basically a thug, for lack of a better
He's
term.
a thug.
He's a thug. He has a melee pool of 3, which he can boost with 3 rice. He has a 4 movement pool, average. He has a range attack pool of 3, which he could boost for 3 rice. He is only a 1/6 on the key, so he can only hold 6, which is just about everybody in Silvermoon except for a few odd figures. But he is, for a named figure only generating 1, that's kind of moderately unique. Melee weapon, he has a Tanto, so a little dagger, -2 melee strength and no other effects on it. This is the weapon that makes him. I will say he is the most dreaded figure in there. There's a reason I have him at number 3, but I hate this figure with a burning hot passion. Again, it's a meta thing, but yeah, I just dislike it. So crossbow.
It's not Halo Steel at least. But
It's close enough.
Close
I know.
enough. So he has a crossbow. It's +1 range strength. It has ammo 4, so he gets 4 shots with it. Range bands of 4, 8, 12. So it's got it's not like a longbow range, but still it's respectable. I mean, longbow goes out to 15. So on a 2-foot board, going out to 12 is pretty darn good. And the key is ammo, so no reload. So he just shoots it until he has no more shots. Okay. He has 1 trait, Fortune. great. So if he wants to try to double his key on turn 1 or at the beginning of every turn, he could flip a coin, but he could also lose all of his key at the same time. Welcome to Silvermoon. 2 key feats. And the one especially, the other one to a lesser degree, are really what define him, in my opinion. Strafe. So Strafe is a 2-key, active, personal, and you can't be in base to base with him, which will become obvious as soon as I explain it. And then he has Vital Strike, which is X, so you could dump a whole bunch of key into it, active, personal. So, what are those key feats, you say, Greg? Well, Strafe, and again, this is the one that really makes him just
broken.
I won't say bro. He was, again, me and
In
Jason
our meta
remember from the
broken.
last one. It
Are we
makes him
talking-
very scary. It makes him
Yeah.
very scary. This model gains rapid fire 2 until the current action is over. So that means when he's making his range attack, he's getting 2 shots, or is it 3?
2.
2. So he'll get 2 shots instead of 1. So that's pretty deadly. Add that with Vital Strike, which is an X, or if you're just going to take 1 shot with it and you got against a Minimoto who's sitting on 4 armor, you do Vital Strike. This
I've done
model's
that
ranged
before.
weapons can pierce X until the current activation. So, gee, you got 4 armor? Yeah, I don't care about that, so I'm going to be still +1 on you. But it's going to cost me 4 key. He does have one unique effect. During the starting phase, if this model has no ammo tokens, it can remove all activation counters, aka take a complex action, and gain 4 ammo tokens. Now, I'm going to throw something out here to be kind of interesting as I'm just kind of working this through my head. So during the starting phase, 2 activation tokens, but if you have a Satsuko in the group, she could give him an activation.
Yep.
God, I hate him. Hate him so much. Small base model. So, well, that's my number 1 right there.
The mongoose.
Kuma,
What? We have the same number 1?
I know.
It's if Trash Panda never went to the dojo and instead was enslaved. He
Trash
became a
Panda-
circus animal.
That was Trash Panda before he went to Temple. He was working for Silvermoon. He was working the nitty gritty streets until he was found by Master Yakuza, who was out slumming it with the roses, and then said, "It's just like Dragon Ball Z." Oh my god!
Oh, I was gonna say he tempted him with his tortoise.
I don't even want to know where that's going.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, but Master Yakuza is not a rat.
Or is he?
I gotta
the
win
Trash
Silvermoon.
Panda.
I gotta win Silvermoon and make him rat.
Trash Panda's sort of ratish. He's a raccoon, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, while he was enslaved, he was looking pretty rough.
He was in a traveling circus, though. That's okay.
Undernourished, all that. So, Wasapu. Here's what I got for Wasapu. A couple bullet points about him. He is the range king for Silvermoon. They do have some other crossbow dudes, but none of them compare to Wasapu.
Having access to Strafe and only playing 1 more point for it, it's like absolutely worth it every day.
I mean, totally disgusted.
That is a 1 rice upgrade that you're taking 9 times out of 10.
My mind that it's a 1 rice upgrade. But anyway, and my second bullet point, hey, he's nicely priced for what he does, which is kill everything.
At range.
And again, this is very meta for us. We have probably a very broken view of Wasapu, but he's pretty efficient at what he does.
It's mostly just because of Jason with his dice. And
so
Wasapu's best friend, at least with Jason, is lucky number 8.
That's I was going to get into that. Yeah, so key points are strengths. Strafe makes him great at taking out key models in 1 activation. And again, you do have to get, your damage dice have to be pretty good, but when he takes lucky number 8, and that's another card that you have to take, and it's not that expensive to take.
I think it's 1.
It is, I believe.
It is. It's another 1 point. It's the other 1 point card that you take with Wasapu, and at 12 points, it's like, yes, please.
So at 12 points, gee, big deal. Anytime I roll a 7, just make it an 8. So that means he's very likely to get the most out of it. Typically, he's probably going to be rolling against 5s to hit his target if he plays it right. 6s then because he's taking the second shot. So success level 3, success level 2. Now, if it's against a large base model, forget it. So again, the argument is that your damage is not consistent, or it's totally based on the dice roll for your damage roll, which I will argue you are somewhat correct. But if I get that high enough success level, I don't care what my model rolls. So again, if I'm success level 3, I think the lowest I could get is like 1 or 2 if I roll deuces.
On success level 3, you can still roll. You can get 0 if you roll
I
snake
think you
eyes.
can still
If
get
I
a
roll
0.
snake eyes, okay.
'Cause I've done it plenty of times.
Yeah, I know
Yep,
that.
and I've saved my ass plenty of times.
But again, when you add in the fact that he's in the faction that I believe that he has ways, and Jason, you'll have to correct me on this. Silvermoon does afford him chances to re-roll his damage, correct or no?
Yes, he has
Is it
opportunity
luck
to
token
re-roll.
could do it?
Luck tokens can do it on the damage roll too.
Mhm.
Otherwise, if you're the easy nitty gritty way of doing it is through Fortune's favor,
Fortune's
and then he
favor,
gets
okay.
it in the re-roll bubble. But
So
between that and access to ample luck tokens, it's
yeah,
pretty nasty. Also,
so
if for some reason you have Rocky with them, because I keep on forgetting about Believer, I could technically make Strafe 1 key a turn.
I totally hate you. All right, so
I quit.
so again, key strengths about him. Strafe makes him really good because especially against medium or large base models, he is hell on wheels. Just can really, really decimate those. Even though it's only 2 shots, he's going to be getting a medium base model. If he's 5s, he's rolling 4s to success level 4. If it's a large base, he's rolling 3s, so you could get to success level 5. Once you're at success level 5, the damage kind of gets disgusting no matter where you roll on the chart. Now again, you're looking at maybe like a 12 life Oni, but if I could do 2 shots and I'm chipping off, let's say 5 a pop, we're taking 4, that's 8, leaving him with 4. That's 1 wounded Oni. And that's at range.
And you're trading way up at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ammo means that he could perform back-to-back range attacks. So I could activate, shoot, activate again, shoot. Now again, I will be at a penalty for that second shot, but who cares?
And how we reread ammo, it's a control safety feature.
Yeah,
because
so
you can't control him and be like, oh, I'm going to control him and shoot you. Oh well,
I
it's
gotta spend a
so
token
it
to do
can't
that.
be,
So guess you're
so we
not.
can't take it off. So it definitely, I mean, still worth it to control him so that way he's not being used against you, but definitely hampers him like screwing with your stuff.
So yeah, and then we just talked about it. Add lucky number 8 to increase the chance to hit on 8, so you're maxing out that attack. And the only thing that would have been more broken is if they gave him brutal 1, which
That was
there's ever
basically
gonna
what
be
they did
something-
last edition, which was giving him brutal or pierce and sharp, and you could
Pierce
still
and sharp.
juice it.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm waiting for something that's going to allow Silvermoon to get brutal, and then I'm just going to cry. I will say his best friend is also going to be something that I have later in my other 2 that are remaining. So there are other things that he can do that make him more disgusting. And then Vital Strike is great. Make those pesky high armor values just disappear, even for a single shot. To really be able to get in there and do something with it.
Well, and even if you're paying 2 for it to take 2 armor off of Minimoto with him being +1, then you're only dealing with armor 1, you're -1.
Or even 0, because the Ashiguri are 3s. It's only like 2 or 3 models that have 4.
That's not a bad trade-off at all.
No, or you're wiping out all the armor. For 2, you're taking out pretty much all the armor on every Ito samurai.
And
I'm
samurai.
I'm waiting for Silvermoon to come up with something where it's like, oh, your pierce is kind of like acts like what is it, negative tough or whatever, so it does additional damage instead if you go past the armor.
Oh, that would be cool. I want them to make a figure that's a blacksmith figure, and he just cranks out shoddy workmanship products.
And then he basically makes what are they called? The ones where with the ceramic and like the shotgun shells that just like leave leave the shrapnel in a target.
No, it's just like,
wounds.
it's an opposed key test, but to the end of the round, your armor is like armor 0.
Oh,
depending on how much key you pump into it. So if I want to remove 3 armor from something, so it's, or he just gives pierce something to whatever, but armor goes down. Anyway, this just thoughts for people who are playing tournaments, or that would be a good event card.
That would actually be a pretty cool model.
Shoddy
Yeah.
workmanship. Instead of being +2 on damage, you are -2 on damage because, well, you got that you bought that crappy thing from Mr. Z's
Emporium.
discount house of katanas. Uh,
The dark web.
from the dark web. All right, and then last thing about Waspoo on key points and strengths is he's a steal at 11 points. I mean, again, 1 point better than the normal Kayukahan or crossbow dudes. And then 12 if you put lucky number 8 on him. And my suggestion is put lucky number 8 on him. It's going to make him work so much better and frustrate the hell out of your opponents. That being said, I do have him at number 3, and I will say if I'm playing Silvermoon and I'm playing anything but
Iron Fist.
Fist Gumi, I'm putting him in every list. He's that good.
Oh yeah.
There's no reason not to take him.
Even if he's in your Ronin list that you're playing into Silvermoon, which most people end up doing, so it's like, oh, technically you do have access to Wasapu.
You put him in there, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that being said, he does have some weaknesses.
Mhm.
He only
His
has-
ankles.
Yes, that is definitely a weak point.
Yes, putting him together is a pain because they decided to have that one little point on there. So you just go for the ankles, take the
Take the model
take
out. You
take
sweep the leg.
I would say the low jack, sweep the leg. Yeah, to sweep the leg, take him out. But he only has 4 shots, but can get them back to back with essentially a complex action. He is a 1 key model, so he's susceptible to fear and opposed key test. Again, we already talked about being controlled sucks, but you don't have to worry about him blitzing somebody from behind with his crossbow. And he's also a model that really does want to have a lot of key because you want to be able to run strafe and you really would love to be able to run vital strike depending on who you're playing against. So gaining only 1 key is not great. Now, granted, again, he does have fortune, so he can double it, but that is a risk. If you have bad luck, such as like me and Cody, okay, mainly me, you're not using fortune. If you are somewhat lucky like Jason or have other figures that allow you to do reflips, then you're flipping for fortune with impunity. Or you take an expensive thing to make sure that you don't fail at the wrong time.
It's not that expensive. 2 head coins, only 1 key or 1 rice.
It's too expensive. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's priced where it should be, but it's too expensive if you're trying to keep your rice costs down, and that's why part of Wasapu's shine is that he's cheap. And then last but not least, his probably what I would say his biggest weakness is he is an average melee dude. It's a 3 melee pool. Don't get me wrong. So he's not bad at it like most archers are. So that's a good thing. But he has he's -2 on melee strength, so he ain't going to be killing somebody with it unless they're down on the ground. He's like stabbing them to death already. And he has no sidestep. So the only way he's getting out is if he's disengaging. So once he's stuck, he's stuck. So if you want to take him out or surprise, the normal tricks that you would do it. The trick is he's going to stay there on the periphery. He's going to shoot, then maybe he's going to flip something. And if he can, now that there's Sasuko in the mix, and he could get that extra activation token, you're going to see him getting those 3 activations potentially. It's an option depending on what he does. That just allows him to reload, so he could go crazy strafing from the get-go. So yeah, that's my number 3. I preempted it. I'm having a feeling we're going to talk briefly about him as we get in everybody's number 2s. So Jace, are you ready to go with your number 2?
Yeah, you just keep him up there because he
I'll
is our
keep him
Lord.
up there.
He's our Lord and Savior. So there's no that's actually literally what I wrote on the paper is our Lord and Savior. No more needed.
I can't disagree with that.
Pretty much.
I really can't.
I mean, how they had Wasapu, and this is more as would be talking about models. If you want to talk about models who got really got the hammers thrown at them when they went from last edition to Risen Sun, Wasapu is that model, but he still punches way above his weight class, which is the next thing. Even though he took a hard hammer to what he did, because before he used to be 2 key.
2 key more expensive?
No, he used to be 2 key. He used to generate 2 key a turn.
Oh yeah, that was one
because
reason.
And strafe I think was a little bit different. It either did the same thing, or I think you could also pump strafe, so you could unload the clip if you really needed to.
It was kind of disgusting.
And I
then
thought it was
and
like
then
an X+1 or something.
maybe something like that. And then I know Vital Strike. Vital Strike was better because you got Armor Pierce and Sharp. But I mean, all things considered, though, I mean, he's still, even though he got the hammer thrown at him, I mean, he still regularly for me punches above his weight class. Yeah, there are models that can screw with his range, but those models are still far and few between, and they don't come off often, especially in the tournament scene. As far as I've seen, where there are certain, like you have like Sojubo or I'm thinking of Burning Log Man.
Burning Log, man, that sounds great. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's in the Brotherhood.
Kendish,
Kendish,
who have kind of some abilities who can kind of mess with that or mobile cover. You see Ryujin, and Ryujin can definitely screw with that for other models, but unlike the lost episodes,
Cody will say something about Ryujin not
Ryujin
being susceptible to
the range.
range.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does what he does, and he does it really well.
Yes. He's in the faction. He's in the faction that allows him to do it well.
Yeah.
Again,
He blossoms.
Just by himself, if you had him in a vacuum, he would be good. But I don't know if he would be a top 3 model, even with the strafe and all the rest of that.
I would still put him
premier.
even on the vacuum. I'd still put him top 3. It'd be because compared to some of the other stuff that you have there, I mean, you could pick other things, but again, it's all support models. He helps give you punch to an extent.
Well, and again, like I was saying, in Silvermoon, he gets access to all kinds of shenanigans and stuff that makes him absolutely fearsome looking.
Mm-hmm.
I roll again. If anybody's watched any of our battle reports, I roll shit for damage. I would kill to get a second shot at rolling my damage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he could get that either by having virtue tokens or
not by virtue tokens,
but
luck
tokens.
Yeah,
I
tokens.
I kind of equate them as being kind of the same thing, but they're not. Or if he's in the Fortune's Favor bubble, he could do that. So he's got a lot of ways. He's got a lot of things he could do that make him that he's in the faction that's going to get the most out of his skill set.
Mm-hmm. And I put also here, and I think you touched on this too, he's a great all around. That's like an auto include short of playing Iron Fist or Yokozuna Revenge, because both of those themes are the only ones that you can't take basically either ranged or like Shitai. So I mean, and that was a good point that I at least made it where it's like if you are playing Order for Battle and you're playing Silvermoon, screw it. I mean, you have access to him. So he's actually on 30 points. I would very much encourage to try to figure out how to kind of carve the 11 or the 12 points to maybe see if you could slot Wasapu in there, because all of a sudden swapping him out depending on what you have or what you come up across, it would be pretty damn scary.
Yeah.
It could be in some lists. I think they would appreciate a lot more than some other ones would. But again, just the fact that you have access to him and you'd still have anywhere from 18 to 19 points left in your sideboard to do other stuff. He's a great sideboard piece for those who are playing Silvermoon themed like Order for Battle.
I would agree. All right. So go ahead.
I was going to say, his changes from last edition real quick.
Mm-hmm.
He was only 2 melee pool. He had everything else was the same except he was 2/6 for key. But his traits, he had the fortune, but he also had armor piercing ranged, just built in.
Built in, so he wasn't paying for it.
Yeah, and then strafe was 3 key with rapid fire 2, but then he had vital strike, which gave him sharp on his ranged.
So you have built-in armor piercing, and then strafe would get rid of tough, which would make it disgusting.
Yeah. So thank God they nerfed him, but he's still amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how nerfing him takes strafe to 2 key. Unless maybe there's an errata that we're not realizing.
They dropped the
they
his
took
key stat.
Yeah.
Because if he was 2/6,
if he was 2/6 now, then they would have left strafe at 3.
I'd say leave it at 3 anyway.
Yeah,
I know, but that's just me.
I mean, it would force you to use fortune a lot more aggressively.
That's
if it was a
part of it.
if it was a 3-key ability.
And there's
You
ways that, and again,
still
you have
kind
things
of
to
want to
channel.
use it even with it being a 2.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like, yeah, definitely. But I mean, it does make me think a little bit more. Where it's like, if I screw it up, because then I definitely have to go. And I've been guilty of this, as people have said. You're like, dude, you're doing sunk cost fallacy. I don't care. I'm a gambling addict at this point.
Right.
I gotta hit jackpot.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, if you have a gambling addiction and you want to play Bushido, play Silvermoon.
Actually,
there you
that is accurate.
Yeah, that is an understatement of epic proportions. All right, so that's Jason's take on Wasapoo. So that's his number 2. Cody, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is what? No, I'm just kidding. It's Satsuko.
Satsuko. All right, let me pull that one up here. Satsuko, the new-ish of the
Jade Roses.
Well,
Jade
she is the
Roses.
newest Jade Rose.
Yes, she is. Here she comes. There she is. So Satsuko, she's a rose, she's a Shaite, she's 11 rice. I think that's a deal. Melee pool of 2, which she could boost for 3 key. She has a movement of 5. That's Ito-like speed, and that's boostable by another 3 key. Range of 3, but she has range 3. She has 2/6 on her key. She has a weapon, a Tessin, which is +1 melee strength and sidestep defense 0. Very nice. Unarmed combat with key block, which is -1 on melee strength. Her traits: agile, disguise 5, dodge 1, evasive, jump up, light footed, range defense 2, 2 keats, no,
Tuki.
two key feats, invigorate, which is 4 key, active, target something out to 3 inches, and you can only do it once per turn. And shiatsu, that's what
There
it
you
is.
go. That one sounds right.
It
Yeah.
is right. It's the massage type.
I was like, it sounds like a massage thing.
It is. 1 key, active, target must be in base to base. So what do those key feats do? Well, invigorate is the one that I don't like anymore. Target friendly, non-soulless, non-animal model. So no giving that to the little weasel. That's not really bad.
Or the silverback.
Or the silverback. Gains an activation counter.
Bro, Sasuko has some standards. She's not going to do that
Yes.
to animals.
Shiatsu is for 1 key, and it's, again, you have to be active. Remove 1 berserk, 1 control. Remove 1 berserk, control, frighten, impetuous, spirit block, or stun marker from target non-animal model. She does have 1 unique effect, which I think is flippin' awesome for what she does, and that's meditation. This model may perform a focus action as a simple rather than complex action. She is on a small base. Over to you, Cody, to tell me why she's super broken.
Well, the unique effect is the main thing.
Oh, yeah.
In combination with invigorate. So giving, like we've touched on, Wasapoo a 3rd activation or a activation if he has to use his unique effect, moving Budo around the board, really moving anything, just having that extra activation can be critical, or it can even allow you to, run up to that middle zone at Osatsu and turn 2, do the complex to turn it, and then have an action to defend.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I am glad that it's a target within 3 inches, so she can't just sit back in deployment and pump everyone full of extra activations.
Well, again, though, she is limited. She can only do it once per turn.
Yeah, but
So-
still, I mean,
still,
if it was like
if it was
if it was
anywhere on the
anything
board, no,
more
it
than
was
that, or if it was anything more than 4 inches,
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, it's like, oh, I can only use it once a turn. It's okay. I'm gonna just camp my happy ass back here.
Well, yeah,
With disguise, she's
basically,
not gonna get touched.
and the fact that it's active, so she can focus and use invigorate in the same action.
Yeah, that's the key.
It's really good. Some other strengths with her is just the natural speed 5. You can't go wrong with speed 5, and the fact that it's boostable and she can generate at least 4 key a turn, if not more, depending on how much you want to focus. She's a good choice, sort of, for VIM, because she would lose disguise, I believe.
She would
yeah.
be, because
Yeah,
it would
wouldn't
get
have
stripped
her.
off.
Yeah,
I don't think I would have any rows with that.
No, because then your opponent knows exactly who your VIM is. But she does have agile, evasive, jump up, dodge, so it still could potentially be worth it because she can make a late game run.
I see. I would find her with the agile and evasive, just agile, evasive, and light-footed. I find her to be I find her to be excellent at doing the sport, especially with the speed, because she could move to wherever it needs to be. Plus, that makes her, if she's not doing and she doesn't have to spend an action to do invigorate, so that makes her a very premier flipper for objectives, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The other thing too with having the natural speed 5 and whatnot is she can invigorate herself.
Yes.
So she can really, move around the board, get some of those deep idles. If they're the 6 idle mission, I can't think of the name of any of them right now, but
Any of the ring ones, any of the ring, yeah.
yeah. So
Depletion comes to mind first.
I just think, especially being a support piece coming in at 11 rice, it's not terribly expensive. Like some of these ones where you're paying like 18, 19 for a support piece. She really doesn't need anything to help her with what she needs to do because she can just meditate and do it all herself. It's not like she's relying on a fortune mechanic or anything like that. Really, her biggest weakness is that she's only a melee pool of 2.
Yeah.
So if you are able to strip that disguise off, especially if she's exhausted, you're probably going to kill her. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you catch her while she's exhausted and she doesn't have the key to do it with only 2 and no kind of like parry or anything like that, that puts her at a disadvantage. I will say you only get 1 shot at it unless you have 2 activations and she's exhausted, because she's going to try to sidestep out, or once she activates, she's agile and evasive. She just walks away,
Right.
and 9 times out of 10 she's faster than whatever's going to be chasing her.
Yeah.
So you really got to pin her in if you're going to try it.
Yeah, I think she's going to be slippery, but as a support piece, I really like what she brings. And yeah, just good luck trying to get a hold of her. If you do, make sure you kill her.
Again, for like you're saying, for what she brings to the table, for the cost that she had, for the cost that she is, she's really good. I mean,
oh yeah, I would take her in any faction.
Just the the invigorate alone is pretty awesome, because you're going to get that consistently off. You're not relying on fortune to do it because it's 4 key, but she starts the game with 2, or on turn 1 she gets 2, and in theory, if you even want to move up 5 and you could run to do it, you can juice yourself by taking that simple action, so you're sitting on 4 on turn 1.
Right.
And then if you want to, you dump it on somebody on turn 1, but whatever. So you have it handy. And the shiatsu is just gravy for some of those oddball effects. Or I'll be perfectly honest, and again, she's in base to base, and they're active, so she doesn't have to spend a simple to do it. So, for example, if let's say somebody's got spirit block, or they got a stun marker, and they're
Great
on
Pilgrim.
fire. Yeah,
Great Pilgrim, yeah.
she would be very good at removing that kind of stuff for 1 key. That's nice and cheap. Now, granted, it's only 1 token, but 1 token off is better than having it.
Yeah. Honestly, every time I look at her card, I kind of forget that ability is there. It's a fantastic ability, but I'm just like, okay, I'm meditating and invigorating.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what
Sounds
you're
dirty.
trying to do.
Setsuko, the happy ending.
And the other thing, I think the thing that you kind of that I think we're overlooking just a smidgen, not much. You may have said it and I just wasn't paying attention, which is also very likely because I've been trying to study up on a couple things. So the invigorate and the shiatsu are actives. So again, you could do key feats while being disguised and not reveal yourself. So before anybody attacks her, so 1 key models, they're screwed.
Yep.
They can't do anything. So she could just move around them with agile and evasive and just say, la la la, I'm moving past you to do whatever I need to do. and then 2 key models have to get a success against her to be able to do anything. Otherwise, it's just a move on to the next thing. Which that's why I say the disguise I think is very key with her because it
Mhm.
allows her to do the 2 things. It allows her to use her 2 key feats at maximum effect because she doesn't. Somebody's going to really have to go and get that. It's going to be a 2 key model that's coming at her. It's not going to be a 1, and they have to make that roll.
And if you really want, you can take I think it's the Kiss from the Rose event card or whatever it is too. And then even if they do get in base to base, they got to deal with that.
Then they get I forget what that is. Does that give the
I
control
think that's a
marker?
control marker. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you could there's ways to do it. So again, I love the fact that they made the model. Again, at some point you're going to flip an objective, but that's all right. But you're not. The trick is you probably are going to save her to do a late objective and let somebody else do something early on.
I'm glad they didn't make her melee pool base of 3.
That
'Cause
would
if
be
they
too much.
That
if
would
they
be-
did, I feel like she'd be way undercosted, or she'd need to be like somewhere in the ballpark of 14. Even though I know one
Yeah.
melee pool more isn't that much,
One
but
melee pull more is that much.
For the roses, it's a
For
bit
what
much.
she's doing, it is. It would be.
yeah, that's why I'm like looking at it as that big of a price increase. So I do like the 2, and I also think it makes you pick and choose what you're going to do with her, because the unarmed key block could come into play.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Um,
would say so for sure.
or even if she's on 1 wound and you're got a pesky Ryujin that you need to shoot or something like that, you key block him so he can't heal. Well,
And
you're sacrificing her, but
well,
I'd take that trade.
and here's something else that I'm kind of thinking too. Again, one of my biggest gripes on ranged against larger base models is it's very effective. Put her in front of that large base model, and this is probably once she loses disguise. Put her in front with the activation, and if the shot comes through her 1-inch zone of control, I'll take the shot on her. She's a range defense 2 on a small
Yep.
base.
She's a great
So
arrow catcher.
5, 7.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you ran her into position, now it's an 8. So the best, unless they have brutal, the best they're going to do is success level 0 or
Yeah.
success level 1, realistically, at medium range.
What does she have? 5 wounds?
Yeah,
Let
she's
me-
got 5.
Yeah,
Let me check the math real quick. Oh no, Jason would not be able to kill her with Wasapu.
with both shots.
Oh, well, yeah, with
Yeah,
both
maybe with
shots
both
he
shots.
would, because he would bork the
max out.
damage on
Success
So-
level 1, 12. Success level 0, 12.
12,
That's
yeah.
5 points right there. There's 6
Yep.
points. So yeah, or anything that flings throwing stars.
Clearly, we just need to buy a smelter now for the channel, so then that way that'll be our new challenge. Or if we're gonna grow the YouTube channel, every time I lose, I get my dice smelted and turned into other things.
No. I wouldn't say that. All right. So that was anything else about Setsuko, which I love that. It's one of the newer models, and I really do like her.
I'm looking
The
forward to.
sculpt is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
sculpt is
nice
probably
one.
one of the better. I mean, the Rose models are fairly good, but I do like that one.
She's got really good details, really easy to paint with contrast. I actually just stripped mine so I could repaint it.
Shocking.
I mean, I'm interested to see where this kind of takes Roses to go and some of the other models, because the fact that they introduced meditation into the game, I don't know if that's just going to be leaving it within the Silvermoon or if that's going to start leaking its way out into other factions, because then I get really scared if Temple, of course, would be a natural candidate for this. Or again, I'm interested to see if this is like a one-off contained thing, or if it's gonna, like, some of these things that she represents right now are gonna, like, start spreading and leaking out into either future Roses to come out, or how they're gonna maybe influence some newer models that come into other factions.
Yeah.
Personally,
I don't think we're going to see much meditation. Maybe one, maybe 2 models else might get it.
Yeah.
But I think some of the key feats, not even key feat, the unique abilities, I think they'll try to keep to like
a handful.
Specific models. And on the wiki, she still doesn't have a background, so there might be something in her story arc that explains that we just haven't seen yet.
That's true.
One would hope. One would hope. All right. So I'm going to be honest with you for my number 2. And I've been debating about this all day. We'll just say Setsuko was there, but before you even mentioned this, I had already changed my mind and it switched her out. She's preview spoiler alert. She's going to be my honorable mention because my honorable mention is really. I got to be honest with myself. My honorable mention would definitely have been my number 2. I was just kind of bouncing around a little bit with things. My honorable mention is, and he ties into Wasapu to a certain degree, and you're going to see why. It won't be very obvious once I say who this number 2 figure is. I'm building this up. I'm building tension.
He's building up his number 2.
He's building up his number
God.
2 into a giant release. Yes. Earth shattering.
I hope this pick isn't crappy.
Oh, you're gonna think it's the shit. So this model I personally hate.
It's the porcelain
It's
god.
I hate almost as much as Wasapu. And early on when Jason was playing Silvermoon, he played him a lot. And it is Dafukaya.
Oh god, I hate that model.
Oh damn! I didn't think that he was going to show up today. I really didn't think, or if he did, he was going to show up as an honorable mention.
He was my honorable mention, but I had to be honest with myself. He's my number 2. I despise this
I
model.
hate this model.
Oh my god! It was
almost
only
as
till
much
like
as Wasapu.
semi recently that I figured out how to use him. Otherwise, he was getting his ass kicked all day, every day until I
I'm
started
just jealous
reading.
because he's better than like 3/4 of the monks in
Monks.
Temple.
It's because he's the
He's
evil
got the
monk.
evil
Damn it.
smile. Look at that smile on him. He's evil. So for those of you who are not familiar with why the hell is there a monk in Silvermoon? The question is why not? Because they could be bribed. They
I
have
don't know.
earthly-
Every like Yakuza-esque type thing I've seen, they have like some sort of corrupted spiritual man, some sort of corrupted religious priest, some sort of corrupted like temple guard, some sort of corrupted monk, and they're always badass to some degree.
and this is him. So Dafukaya, what does he have? Well, he's 22 rice cost, so he's a significant chunk of change in a faction that's known for cheap ass models. He is a monk, so he's not Shaite, he's not Ayubin, he's not Buto, he's just straight up ass kicking monk. He has a melee pool of 4, which is rather unique for Silvermoon.
It's the only one I think that's
think it
Snap
is.
4.
And he can boost that melee pool by spending 3 ki. He has
Thank
a movement.
Yeah, he should have been like a normal monk. He didn't finish his monk training
No.
apparently to learn that ability.
It's because he was lazy, and you're going to see why in a second. He has a movement pool of 4. He has a range pool of 3, and he has a 2/8 ki. So he gains 2 or has a 2 ki stat and can hold up to 8 ki. His weapon is Bujitsu, which is +1 melee strength and has a boatload of traits on it, which is the first one, of course, being Brutal 1. Hooray! 4 melee pool and Brutal 1. Hooray! Powerful Attack 1, Slam Attack 1, and Push Defense. So he has some good things, but man, he could pack a punch. No pun intended. Traits, he has Bravery. Oh, by the way, his element of choice, Fire. Just keep that in mind.
That'll be important later.
Yes. So he has Bravery. He has Immune to Fire, which would make sense. He has Jump Up. He has Kata. 4 melee pool, Brutal, Kata.
I mean, that's what all the other master monks have. I mean, he just has
No,
brutal.
monks have brutal.
Yeah,
I
but
know,
he's in
that's what-
Silvermoon.
I know.
That's all I'm gonna say. And range defense 1, so he's got to make him a little harder to kill by shooting him to death. His 2 key feats, and this is where he goes from being moderately ridiculous to fuck you. Flame On, that one's not so bad. It's a 2 key instant personal. It's the second one. Inferno, 2 key, simple action, pulse 2 inches. Why do you say is this so terrible, Greg? Well, let me tell you why.
He needs to be a rata and be 27, right?
Oh my god.
So
Play me
Flame
up.
On.
Bring
So I'm
me
going to
a
start with
fucking
Inferno
river.
because that's the one that we'll start with Flame On because that one's the more common one and it's not as bad considering you see things like this with Great Pilgrim and others people. So until the end phase, this model's melee attack gains Fire 1/1 trait, and when this model suffers wounds from a melee attack, the attacking model gains a Fire 1 marker. Sucks, but such is life.
Manageable.
Manageable. It's the second one that pisses me off. Inferno. So for a simple action, so granted, it's a simple action, so he's not beating me to death with his fists of fire.
If it was active, just imagine not much I would hear it from you guys.
Yeah, especially with old Zoe. Fuck you. So simple action, 2 key, 2-inch pulse. So it's a relatively tight pulse, but
Title your sex tape.
yeah. All other models within the pulse's area, so not himself, not that it would matter because he's immune to fire, but all other models within the pulse area of effect gain a fire 2 marker.
Beautiful.
So,
Just
hey, I can't hit Haritsuna. Who cares? He's now on fire. He's on fire. Or anything else that you're like, oh, you know what? They're all of activations.
Yeah, because if you have
for
the key,
putting that out, and then unique effects. This model included in your warband. You may also include Ronin Fire Kami. What did Ronin Fire Kami do? And while within 2 inches of a Fire Kami, while within 2 inches of this model, so they're talking about the Fire Kami models gain aggressive, and their weapons gain brutal 1.
melee weapons do. So it's not on the shot, at least. Because if it was on the shot, you kidding me?
That would be borked beyond words. So now I got aggressive little fires running around trying to beat me to death. So
stupid.
Oh my gosh. You guys are being. This is the episode you guys get all your salt out for the world to see.
Well,
we did it to Greg and Ito.
Yeah, kind of, but
yeah,
not to the same degree.
We were all pretty good with us and the Bruce.
Yeah. So Dafukaya, what do I have to say about him? He's the fire monk that brings the heat, because I really had a hard time coming up with a cool catchphrase for this cat.
I thought that your thing was just going to be "fuck you."
No,
fuck you, Junior. There you
go. No, fire. He really brings the pain. He is a mean fighting machine, but he has friends that can benefit everybody else that you normally can't get in Silvermoon. Strengths allows Silvermoon to bring fire commies. Hooray! Now, why is that important? Who is my number 3 pick?
Oh yeah, that's right. We figured that out. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you can give the crossbows fire.
What do fire commies do when they're in base to base? When a model starts in base to base with a fire commie, what happens to attacks from those models?
Oh, that's right.
They gain fire 1/1. Right?
Yep.
So now, Wasapu and his strafe, suddenly every one of those hits, not only do I take damage for it, but lucky me, I get a fire 1/1 counter. Hooray! And it's +1 strength on that too, isn't it?
Guess I need to prime this guy.
It is +1, but I think it's only I think it says it's melee strength +1. I'm double checking.
Thank goodness.
Are you kidding me? Otherwise, everybody who takes this with Grey Pilgrim already would be like, "Oh, super killing crap."
Supercalifragilistic, I'm gonna blow you to shit.
Okay, well, even if you can't
it's model. Okay, one model in base to base gains +1 strength and fire 1/1 till the end phase. No, so yeah, his crossbow jumps up.
Crossbow jumps to +2. Yeah, awesome. That's flipping fantastic. Make sure there's not an errata on that, but
I mean, it was on the app, so I think I have the most up to date app right now.
Yeah, Mutaz would have put that on there.
Even so, even if you throw that in conjunction with like a Buto or something, with having 2 guys.
I've done that before. That's a fun one where you make a flaming Buto.
Yeah,
it sounds like a drink that I'd want to have. The
flaming hot Buto.
Yes, exactly. So for a faction that might be a little pillow-fisted, being able to bring even just one fire commie at 8 points is going to really going to dramatically increase the firepower or the strength of that faction. And again, if you really want to play the range game, you've got Wasapu and then a bunch of Kayukan crossbowmen. All 3 of them start in base with the fire commie, and then they advance up and shoot a target.
I think it's just 1 model benefits from that.
I thought it was anything in base to base.
No, it's only 1 model benefits from it.
God. So if that was the case, the rock commie would be the most broken commie. Oh, yeah, everybody pile around. You get armor too.
Yeah, no, it's
until of course, Dafukaya comes and goes, "Thanks for clustering up."
True.
I'm glad your armor's not. I'm glad your armor's not asbestos laced. Anyway, so
he'll be going on the priming table later.
That's one of my that's his one strength is one of the many strengths he has is that he brings fire commies in. So he allows you to take fire commies. So if you really want to think of it, Cody, how you're saying jump him to 28, he is really a 30-point model.
Yeah, but that would make him 36.
Cody just wants me to take less crap, so that way I can have 6 points less in cards.
Exactly.
Also keep in mind that he could also benefit from a boatload of Silvermoon cards, but that's beside the point. So what other strengths does he have? For a simple action, and this is the one ability that we learned to despise early on. For a simple action, he could put fire 2 on everyone around him. So what that means is you make sure Dafukaya goes last of your figures. I can't tell you that. And again, it was early on, so we're still learning this. Is that he gets into the group, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's putting on. And Jason, of course, was ruthless. Oh, I'm gonna light my silverback on fire. Fuck it.
Oh my gosh, that's only been like a couple times that I've done that, and it was been like I still regretted it.
PETA sent you letters about it, Jason. It's terrible. They did. I'm pretty
sent
sure Sarah McLachlan singing a song about it. And it's going to be on daytime television. In the eyes of the silverback. There's a silverback going, I'm on fire.
Oh my God. I gotta go buy some more silverbacks so I can just model flames on them. I need more Icos for my, temple terrain.
Your idols are just flaming gorillas.
It's terrible. Anyway, so yeah, you learn that, and Jason learned to time it very well so that we hated that. And it's frustrating because he's going to put one on, and then let's say you're holding one action. Okay, that's great. So I now have to play a waiting game of who's going to go last. Is Dafukaya going to go last? And then just, and then I put out the one fire that's on me, blowing an action to do that, by the way. Or I wait for Dafukaya to flame it again to put 2 on me, and then I could waste my one action and put both out. Or if I don't have any actions on them, then I got to move somebody in, and it's going to take me 2 actions, 1 to move somebody in a base, 2 to do the wait action to put the flames out. So it just becomes a real, and then keeping in mind, you could potentially have multiple models with that problem. So, if he catches it just right. And notice the other big thing with Inferno, there's no restriction on it. He can move and do it. He could be in base to base with you and do it. So if you think you're going to outnumber him because, oh, look, his weakness is he doesn't have Indomitable, so I'm going to put everybody around him and beat the shit out of him. Tanaka style. Yeah, he goes, fuck you. Yeah, why am I going to bother fighting you with your endurance? F you.
Pretty much.
Problem solved.
Exactly.
So yeah, Inferno is one of those things. Once you master when to use it, it's really kind of disgusting. His last strength that I have in here, aside from just being just generally really good with brutal and all that, is really his melee strength. So he's a melee 4, which again, I think it's the only one in Silvermoon that's a melee 4 model. He's got brutal 1 on top of it. So it's like he's got if you are of the mind that brutal 1 is essentially adding a die to it, he's essentially a 5-die model in melee if you look at brutal in that fashion. And the last thing, he doesn't get rerolls, but he has kata. So every die in his melee pool is going to count for something. So if he rolls 4 1s, he's at success level 5. I mean, it's simply really, really good as a melee fighter.
It's super weird because I don't see him getting a lot of buzz. So I don't know if it's just everybody kind of got bad or kind of got over him, or it's just like
tricks. I think is what it really is.
He's just pricey too. I mean,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is
if
his price?
Yeah.
You think about it, for the price of him plus a fire commie, you could take Wasapu and 2 crossbowmen.
Agreed.
I mean, they do completely different things, but
I don't know. I have no problem figuring out how to build around him, but I mean, I don't know if you've listed any weaknesses for him, but I mean, I know his common weakness that always bites me in the ass.
I do. He
Ryogen.
really, he
not
really likes
Ryogen.
his key. So the weaknesses that he has, he really likes his key for Flame On and Inferno, or the odd bump of a melee pool. So again, it's where is he using his key most, and he's going to be very greedy with it. He's going to use it all over the place. So I hate saying that a 2-key model is key starved. He could be key starved.
Well, that's being a monk.
Well, that's just being a monk. He has no armor. He has no tough. He has no tireless. He has no endurance. He has no indomitable. That means he can get swarmed, but you got to time it right. He can, when he gets hit, he's going to take the damage. Now, Grant, again, he can mitigate it with his melee pool of 4 to a certain degree, but you put 2 models on him. Now he drops down to melee pool 3. He's exhausted, down to melee pool 2. Once he's down around melee pool 2, he's manageable.
Yeah, but if a smart player is going to push defense out,
he'll try to push defense out. But again, if I'm doing, and then I have to, even though you're doing a 2 and a 1, a 2 versus, let's say, a 3 melee pool model comes in to jump him. I really need to get him down to 1, or I got to have 4. I got to have double my dice on him because I want to keep 1 in defense. Because again, that brutal 1 means the temptation for Dafukaya maybe to do a 1-and-1 split. Again, that's risky though, because if you booch that roll, you're only going to have a 1 success level instead of a 0 success level, and then you're toast. But there is the chance he could do that. Another weakness he has, and I don't want to call it a weakness, it's a lack, which makes sense. So don't take it the wrong way, is he doesn't have an ability to strike first. So he doesn't have lightning reflexes. He doesn't have reach or anything.
Dude, if he got lightning reflexes as one of his abilities, he'd be like a 25 price model.
He'd be much higher. But again, these are one of the things that makes him a manageable 22.
Yeah, he should only be like 28 in Jason's hands, but that's just because I play against Jason. Everyone else can play him at 22.
22. And I think Silvermoon's one of these factions where I can't say anything is improperly costed except for Wasapu. And again, I would say Wasapu more than likely is properly costed. It's just we have meta hate for him in our area.
For us to get an archer doing anything remotely close, we're paying 15 plus.
And
that's one shot a turn.
Kahimi can come close if she's got the key to do it, but she's also a better melee, and she has armor, and she's
right. Yeah, no,
cool.
I do think, especially compared to like my temple monks, he's a properly costed model.
Yeah.
And he's lacking some of the things that a lot of them have, which is parry. None of them really have dodge, but a lot of them have that counter-strike defense, stuff like that. So,
I
thought the fire monks were always kind of like a little bit more.
They're a little more aggressive a little bit, but
they're a little more aggressive. But like Botan has movement shenanigans.
Well, that's Botan. Botan's, we don't talk about him.
Yeah, but the Sakura or whatever her name is.
Yeah, their version of Sakura or whatever. Yeah,
whatever the hell her name is. Yeah. She's got the ranged attack, and then Hotaru's 11 rice, but you pump her up to like 14 with stupid stuff, and then she's just slamming people across the board. And it's fun.
I mean, again, for me, for Dafukaya, and again, Jason probably hinted on it already when we talked about why don't people take him more. He's a 22 rice investment. No endurance, no tireless. I don't want to say he's frail because he's still got 6 wound boxes.
He's easily my biggest weakness.
Easily overwhelmed and popped.
Well, overwhelmed and just honestly, like, because this has happened to me all the time. You get overconfident with this guy. Like being on that 4 dice is a hell of a drug.
4 dice, I'm not gonna lie. 4 dice with brutal is a power trip. No kidding.
Like, it's a hell of a drug. And every time where it's like, I'm thinking I'm going to start doing something, and he gets popped by Joe Nobody, and I'm just like, I am so fucked.
That's going to be my if I ever win Grandmasters, I'm going to make an Ito figure called Joe Nobody.
Joe No Legs.
Joe No Legs. There we go.
Joe Nobody and his flaming monkey.
There you go.
So that's Dafukaya.
Wouldn't it be like a poisonous monkey?
I don't know. No, he's gonna be fire monkey. Now he's gonna be
flaming snake.
He's gonna be in Hazumi clan, so that way he's worthless.
That's hard. Damn. Sure.
All right, so that's Dafukaya. That is my number 2. I think he's a solid number 2, and like
He
I
can
said,
be.
I would try to fit him into as many lists as possible. And again, it may just be local that we have an outsized respect for him. But
Put it
I
this way:
like
if
it because
Brian's
yeah.
how Brian puts it, Brian makes sure to like keep where that threat bubble is to make sure that he avoids that inferno whenever
Yeah.
we've played at this point. Like he's got it down to a T when I play him, so it's definitely more of a challenge.
Yeah,
that
because
way.
if you're going to engage him, and you don't suck his and you don't get those activations out, you know, he's just going to pop fire on it, and then it's a question of you can't. And if you're engaged with him, you can't take the wait action to put it out.
Mhm.
And so that means you have to use another model's 2 activations to move in to put it out.
Yeah, if you don't have enough, if you don't have like a
So
cluster of people.
really, you're trying to make sure that you knock out his activations as quickly as possible, and you're praying to the fortune gods that you're going to win the tactical roll.
But guess what? We are the fortune gods.
And that's the problem.
And that's why
or the benefit
Silvermoon
if you're
is a
playing
religion
Silvermoon.
now.
Yes. So, all right, that's enough of that guy. So, who will we start? We'll start with Jason. Are you good to go with your number 1?
Yeah.
Flip it in real quick.
Yep. So my number 1, and
All right,
I know that
mine is mine.
I've been bold on my claim with this, and I'm pretty sure many would disagree, including those on the Silvermoon board. My number 1 is Harukichi.
Harukichi. All right. Keep going with them, and I'll
So
just run your
Harukichi,
bullet points real quick.
and I know that I've said this before, and I think I've had it in between, which both statements I would still stick behind, just in my personal use of how I've used him. In my personal opinion, he's definitely one of the top 5 models in the game. I know I think I've flopped
Wow.
between that or top 3, but I would feel confident putting him in one of the top 5 models in the game.
Okay, so running through him really quickly. Harukichi, he is a 16 rice cost Ayuban. He has a 2 melee pool, but he could boost it by spending 2 ki. Not too bad. 4 movement pool, 1 range pool. He has a key, the key stats of 2, and he could hold up to 10. So he could really hold a lot of ki if he needs to. He has chopsticks. That's his weapon. He likes his rice, and he likes stabbing people through the eye with it. He's like one of those people. I killed a man with a pencil once, except it's a chopstick.
Okay, Joker.
And then he's got it, and the chopstick. Well, how deadly is it? It's a -1 melee pool with no other traits on it. He does have a few traits on him. Like most Silvermoon figures, he has fortune. He also has tactician. Remember how I said you need to win the tactical roll? Ding 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 ding. Tactician 1. He has leadership friendly 1/6, very helpful, and resistance 1, so he can try to resist the charms of anyone who's trying to control him or oppose key test him. His 2 key feats are Cheat Fate, which is X instant pulse 6, and the ever famous Fortune's Favor, which is 1 key active and is an 8-inch aura. So what do those key feats do, and why are they so disgusting? Cheat Fate, before a friendly model would roll a dice for any type of test, spend X. Remove 1 die that would be rolled for that test. After the other dice have been rolled for that test, add a dice with the value of X plus 1. To that test. Before determining the final result, X cannot be greater than 5. So what that essentially means is you could give yourself a 6 for a die roll, for a test roll. Nice. And that would be anything within a 6-inch pulse, including himself. And it's instant, so whenever. It's just a lot of key. Fortune's Favor. And you got to do it before you roll the dice for that test. Fortune's Favor. This model may spend X key tokens. This is the one that's disgusting. Model may spend X key tokens to reroll X dice rolled for a test by a model within the aura before the final result of the test is determined. Each dice can only be rerolled once as a result of this key feat. So 2 things to remember with Fortune's Favor before Jason gets into a talk a little bit. 1, you have to put the aura up first. So basically, if you're active player and going first, the first thing you do is you have Harukichi, spend the 1 key to put Fortune's Favor up. Now you have your 8-inch bubble. Now, anytime something happens in that 8-inch bubble, friend or foe, Harakichi can spend ki to make you do the reroll. Now, the thing to remember with that is, so let's say you're doing a melee test, and you want to alter your opponent's melee dice, and they rolled 3, came up, let's say 4, 5, 6. You have to determine before he starts to do his rerolls how much you're going to spend. So your X. Am I going to make him reroll 1, 2? You can't just go, okay, reroll the 6. Oh, it came up a 1. Okay, now reroll the 5. Oh, now reroll the 4. No, you're going to have to spend your key die. You're going to have to spend your key and say, I'm going to make you roll up to 2, reroll 2 dice. Great if they roll double 6s. So that's just or you roll double 1s and say, yeah, we're going to reroll those. But yeah, you can't just say, okay, reroll that die. Oh, you did crappy on that one. You still have a decent die. Reroll that other die. So gotta pay the key before you can't just keep going. Kind of like with snares, you can't just keep going and going and going until you're out of key. You designate how much you're going to have them do, and then go from that. And I think we had a ruling on that, right, Chase?
Yeah, we got that clarified on how it was supposed to work because, again, because of how they word it and where
Yeah, it was a
I
little
get
confusing.
where how everything is worded with, where it's like, oh, well, technically it's before how it's over, so I don't see why I can't. But how they, after them kind of going through the clarifications of the rules, it's like, no, that makes sense, which also limits other things because otherwise he is Fuku's best friend and like, oh, well, that one interaction just got just net Fuku for 4 key tokens.
Yeah. So Harakichi, why is Harakichi, and I'll be honest with you, Jace, you're probably taking my number 1, so I probably won't talk about him that much other than going real quick. He's my number 1 too.
Yeah.
So why
He's
is
also my number 1?
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding. Wow, we're gonna have a quick episode here. So Jason, start talking about why is he your number 1?
I mean, the biggest thing besides the biggest thing that I had listed is he has access to every reroll ability in the game, effectively with Fortune's Favor. Because of how Fortune's Favor works out, you have all of the positive reroll abilities and all of the I'll call negative ones that you can basically screw with your opponent. And the only real limiting factor at this point is how much key is on him and how much key you're willing to pump into anything. So
just important to note that you can't reroll your damage dice.
Yeah, you can't read. That's why I said almost every,
any.
Because the only reroll of damage dice in the game,
I think earlier we said
token.
we could do it with Fortune's Favor, but it's a
No.
test, so no.
Yeah, no, that's why I was double checking Cheat Fate when it said it was also a test. I was like, damn, because that's the only time that I'd probably try to use Cheat Fate.
Yep,
But I mean, just the ability, just the fact that you have access to all of that and it's so damn flexible. Yes, it can be mitigated with balance, but that mitigates a lot of abilities in the game, anyways. But I mean, to me, to have a model that effectively gives me all of those traits, that's huge because all of those traits are already good in their own right, and I'm effectively getting effectively that trait X for however much key I want to pump into it if I really need to. Which, I mean, there are some models that can stand up to it, other models not so much. And to me, he's just a great example of a good support model. 16 rice is a little bit high. And I mean, you are, well, by comparison, Cody, to what some of the other
Not
models
what he
cost. But I mean, he's just a really good super support model. And if you add other support models around him, it's only going to make him stronger for what he does. So I mean, he is definitely the priority to kill if you can get to him. But otherwise, I mean, he can still fight himself if he still can fight kind of with being boosted too, but he doesn't really want to do that. But beyond that, you give him the only thing I do is I tend to give him 2-headed coin as a safety, as a failsafe, because I will take Cade with him pretty often for the extra flip. But if I don't, I usually take the double-headed coin. So he'll jump to 17 at that point, and that's just a fail-safe, so that way I can just keep flipping. So if I'm calling it right, that's fine. And then the time that I screw up, then I bring it, and then I rein it back a little bit more for how often I'm using Fortune. But otherwise, as long as I still have that double-headed coin available, I'm flipping as much as I can to pick up, because he'll go from 2 to 4 key a turn then, and then that gets really scary really quick.
Yeah. He, it's, he could work. He works well with your other support models, like you're saying. Old Zoe likes to be around him because Old Zoe has somebody he could throw key into. Fuku loves him.
Yep, as we learned that, yeah, Fuku definitely loves him for Fortune's favor because I get all those damn rerolls. One interaction can net him 2 or 3 key
Potentially, yeah.
potentially.
And who else were we talking about? Oda
Cade.
probably Cade. Yeah, him and Cade are like
Buds too.
they're like buds, super best friends.
Mhm.
Oda probably not as much, although it can't hurt.
I mean, if you're taking Oda by himself and maybe Oda and Tantalo, it's okay, but Oda does kind of something completely different, and he's
Right,
more
that's
focused with
true.
the Butos. The Butos can work well with Hadokichi, but I mean, it's the same benefit that he's giving all the Shite. So I mean, he's universally sharing his awesomeness, his reverence to everybody, versus Oda and Tantalo, or I'm sorry, more Oda. Oda's just kind of like, big guys do stuff better.
You know, well, Cody, what do you like about why did you list him as your number one?
So for my top 3, I was trying to choose models that didn't just annoy me that Jason plays. I was actually
You had
reading models, and because originally my list was going to be like Harukichi, Wasapu, Daifukai, all those models.
All the models
my
that I've
my top
used
3
to
is
know
going to be
the
a
hell
top
out of
9. But
Watch all our videos. Any model Jason's used, that's in my top
any of
3.
our any other Silvermoon models. Yeah.
But
Or reports.
really for him at 16 rice, he's generating the 2 key. He has fortune, like Jason said. You're probably taking him with Cade, so you're able to reflip that fortune.
Mm-hmm.
He just brings a lot to the table at 16 rice, being a support piece, having that massive reroll bubble of fu to your opponent,
And 8 inches is a big bubble on a 24-inch board. You know,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's effectively
that's a
it's
16-inch
16-inch
diameter.
diameter. Yeah.
It's massive, and I just like the fact too, and I wish not all support pieces, but some more support pieces would kind of get that 2 key boost tech of just being able to kind of
Defend themselves.
yeah, not like I said, not everybody, but there's a lot of models that even at 3 key, if it was a 3 key boost, it would still be good. But I do like the fact that he's at 2 because it's like, I mean, he's a gangster, but
Well, and the most he could take it up to is 4.
right. So he's not going to go bonkers with it, but he could potentially get in and kill something if you need him to, or
At least defend himself.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
defending himself is the
the
right time.
innate tactician is just always good.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Especially you look at Ito, Minimoto, stuff like that. You're paying 2 rice to get tactician a lot of times.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
Because I think
I know Ito. I don't think there's any model in Ito that has innate tactician.
no, but you
No.
can
You
take
could
it
buy
with
the card. Yeah,
That's
for 2.
that's what I'm meaning. So like, you look at even the base models at 15 or whatever, they're more beaters than support, or even some of the what are they, the Sishay and stuff.
Yeah,
They don't. They all have their own place, but I just feel as far as support models go, he's probably the best support model in the game.
Yeah. And that's the reason why I list him as like one of the top 5. There are some models that will do better stuff than him, but I definitely could probably make an argument out of all the models in the game. He's one of the top 5.
Yeah, I think just because he affects both you and your opponent.
And that was the big thing that once Brian confirmed that, or once he clarified that with me, that's when you guys started hating him, because before I would never use him because I couldn't get him to work. And it's like, he's kind of just a 16-point bag of rice. That's kind of a lump. But then after Brian confirmed and clarified that with me, like, no, this is how he's supposed to work. I was like, oh, let me try that. And that's when.
And then Brian regretted it ever since.
Yeah. And that's pretty much when that was the second major like revelation point where it's like, oh, and this is what happens when Silvermoon gets to that next level.
Yeah, I also would say though the cheap fate is probably a little underrated. Again, it's before a friendly model, so it could be any friendly model. So let's say you need you're fighting somebody, and again, it's going to take a big chunk of key to do it, but you're doing an opposed key test with that you're trying to get a control marker on somebody. You're active. You're going against a 2 key model. I'm going to make one of my dice a 6. So now it's it's 5 key, one's a 6, I roll something else, it doesn't matter. Now, unless they have a 3 key model or something like resistance, which would add 1, I win because I'm the active model. I've rolled more dice, or it doesn't matter. We've rolled the same amount of dice, but because I'm active, I win. So unless you roll 3 dice, who cares? Or you have the resistance, which could jump you to 8. So I like that. Whether it's doing a melee test, whether it's something if I want to make sure I want to put the pressure on my opponent, I pull 1 die and I do cheat fate. It's kind of like preordained, except for the fact that you could re-roll that die.
It's
Somebody could force you to re-roll it.
Cheat fate is super situational. I know
It's very
I know I've talked on it before, and I mean, like, I haven't really used it as much as I've needed to. Mainly because I'm also usually drained of key, where it's like cheat fate's not going to help me at this point. But I mean, like, it's just super situational where you got to have a lot of key to kind of get what you want, and even then, at that point, it's almost slightly a numbers game because it's like, well, I value the extra key I sit on him to screw with other people's stuff than if I really need something to go through. And typically, if I was going to be saving it, you're right, it'd probably be something for like a fear check. And if I'm saving it for a fear check, especially on my 1 key models, I'm dedicating a lot of key to get into that model.
I would, yeah, I probably would save it for other things, but again, it's situational, and that's why it's nice. It's an instant. For Harakuchi, I had him as my number 1, and again, it's just mirroring a lot of things that you guys. Fortune favor is probably, as support feats go, is probably the most dominant support feat that I can think of. Just because as you said, it affects both friend and foe, and can affect multiple dice on that. So again, I can to reroll. So I see what the test is. Do you have to do it? Do you have to submit that you're going to say that I'm going to make it before you do the test? I would have to say that I'm going to make you reroll 2, right?
So it would be we both do the test. So if we're talking opposed key test, because we're just talking that right now, because it also affects that, we both do our roll for the opposed key test before, since there's an opportunity to do rerolls, even though there's no ability in the game that does rerolls for opposed key yet. Then I can call dice. If I rolled crap, I can say I'm going to spend 2 key to reroll both my dice if I rolled like double 1s or something. Or if you got like a 6 and a 1, or a 6 and like a 3, I can say submit 1 die. I can say I'm going to spend 1 key, make you reroll your 6.
Or you could do both.
Yeah, I can do both.
Or I could to reroll 1 of mine and 1 to reroll 1 of yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you do it after the test, so you know what the results are, and then you could spend your key to do that. So that means if my opponent rolled 2 6s, I'll spend 2 key, make them reroll both 6s.
Correct. And then you get to spend the key on your side because it would be opponent do rerolls, and then you get to do your rerolls.
Right. So, okay. I just want to make sure on the timing on that.
Yeah, that's how that part I have nailed down. It was just the how I could spend the dice for it, basically, or how I'd be spending into the key.
Yeah.
That was the clarification that we needed.
So Fortune's Favor, it's so versatile. It messes with plans, and it makes, you're going up against a tough target. You're going up against a Silverback. You're going up against Dafukai. You're going up against a Buto, and you really need to have those good tests to be able to do something. And that could, Fortune's Favor can mess not only with your dice rolls, but then if you're playing against Silvermoon, it will also give him, if he messes something up, the ability to redo it. So that's why you don't see Butos with melee prowess, because they could have Harakichi. Because if it was melee prowess and Harakichi, that would be kind of disgusting. I would say he would also be hyper effective with Dafukaya. Dafukaya is always going to score a point, but if I want to make, if I rolled 2 1s and I've only got the highest die as a 4, I'll spend 2 and I'll re-roll both those 1s, because worst I could get is the same effect I've already got, but I have a better chance to get a 6 now. And it just cost me 2 key. So Fortune's Favor is 1. Cheat Fate, we already talked about. Situational. Tactician and Leadership are both extremely helpful. Again, a lot of times Silvermoon's going to want to have that initiative role, so having Tactician really gives them that upper hand to do that. And because Tactician, I believe the tactical roll is a test. Reroll it.
You won't have Fortune's Favor out because it ends at the end of the end phase. Are you kidding me? If I could do that
Cheat Fate, bitch.
I could cheat fate it though. Yeah.
Sheet fate this.
But yeah, no. Otherwise,
Yeah.
if you had Fortune's Favor available, no, that would be like a
Yeah.
whole
That'd be
other
a whole
level.
different thing. I'm just gonna put the big man up there. So and then resistance again. I want to be able to use him, so I have to try to make sure those nasty key feats that would either like hypnotic gaze or
Anything that would throw a control
or
marker on
anything,
him.
any kind of opposed key feat, he definitely doesn't want to have affecting him. So having the resistance on a 2-key model is always helpful. And free rolls.
Yep.
And then last, and Cody touched on this, he could be a surprisingly deceptive fighter. I probably am not going to use him aggressively unless I'm desperate late game.
Right.
But that means my opponent, if I'm sitting on some key, really has to think twice if they want to attack him. Because if they come in and attack me, they're going to get one at it. And then when I activate again, you want to catch me when I'm exhausted. So I'll be down to the 1 die pool. But I could easily boost myself up to 3 or 4 if I have key. Because it's cheap. It's 2. It's not, it's something. But that also means and then if I could hold on to a little more and I have Fortune's Favor up, I could still get those rerolls. So deceptively good at fighting, just not something you want to rely on. Great for being able to disengage, to get away from things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, is he the be all end all of models? I mean, when we look at our other number ones that we've had from other factions, they are they're murderous beat sticks in the 20-point range and something like that. This just shows you what Silvermoon is like. Silvermoon is about the little guy, the underdog.
The working man, the one who's oppressed by the monks of Temple, Rokan, and I don't know, Minimoto too. They oppress everybody. Oppresses Silvermoon. So we rise up.
Ryu is always trying to take their money.
We rise up and
tax this.
Yeah, pretty much.
So saying that having a 16-point model that can do the things it does. Yeah, he's not going to go out and win the game by single-handedly killing everybody in that army or tying them up or doing or controlling them. But man, he screws with so many of your plans. And then add on top of it, you get Silvermoon tactic card event cards, and they probably have some of the best event cards in the game.
Oh
So,
yeah,
that would be our top 3. It would not be a single model. It would be what event card.
Cards. That would be a whole different episode. So
I was gonna say, I think prefecture kind of goes hand in hand with them, just with some of the past token shenanigan extra cards and stuff. But Silvermoon has probably the best array of different cards. If you want to throw out Impetuous, if you want to just end the activations, if you want to throw out control markers, basically anything you want to do, you can pretty much do with Silvermoon.
Yeah, I would agree. It's
just about.
it's
they just haven't hired any Kairai or any undead zombies yet.
Forbidden scroll, stolen scroll. Use this, and I get a skeleton.
There you go.
Use it as an event card
use it as an event card to get a skeleton.
To get one of your Shite to rise up.
I don't know. The Shite stole this box from a cult ruin, and next thing you know, he came back to life.
There you go.
Make caveat. Flip a coin. If it flips a 6, then you
bring back
a whole
undead
cult
Buto.
army. Something that's impossible, but it would just be funny.
Could be good. All right, so that's number 1. Should we go quickly through some
honorable
mentions?
We can. I mean, that's been that's always been the format, is like a model that's like it deserves an honorable mention, because also, again, this is for some of the newer players, like their way of like, oh, what do I want to what should I get to get into that? Is I've been seeing a lot more of a spatter or a lot more talk about that, and we've seen more people that are joining the community. So if you're listening to this, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome
so
to the church.
I'll start off with the honorable mentions, because mine has already been mentioned, and so I don't have to talk about it too much. Yay! So my honorable mention, which I've kind of said before, because
you swapped them.
I swapped them. Which again, I was really on the fence. My number 2 was the one that was my flex one, and I really liked Satsuko, but Dafukaya has definitely got to be in my top 3. She's definitely going to be in a lot of lists. No doubt. But honorable mention for everything that she does, for the rice cost that she has, and to be able to give that extra activation. Probably should have kept her at number 2, but I have an overgrown respect for Dafukaya and what he brings. They're on two different they're two different things on the spectrum. She gives extra activations. He allows you to bring something that can increase the strength of your people by having that fire kami out there. I just have to start in base to base, and all my attacks are +1, and I can put fire out. That's great.
Well, then he increases your damage output, because if you get a lucky one Inferno and you're lucky, if you get anything more than one model, then that's already a net gain.
Yeah, and then it also, the fire kami, should it be by Dafukaya, now it can move up and it can fight that much better, because the 2 dice now becomes 2 dice with brutal 1.
And it still puts out another fire 2 marker if it hits something.
And it's durable, so
it's just stupid.
Yeah, so that's why Dafukaya. But Satsuko, I like everything that she does. I like the fact that she can meditate, get to 4, and pretty much you're not, you may want to use an extra activation on turn 1, but you could really bank it for turn 2, and then going forward, you're pretty much always going to have the key for it, because turn 1, meditate, first activation, run second activation in a position. Turn 2, you're at 6. If you want to, you could spend your 4, still sit on 2, so I could do Shiatsu if I need to, or I meditate again. Now I'm back to 4, which means start at turn 3, I'm at 6. So super efficient, and she just brings a lot to the game. And again, trying to pin her down, one key models, unless she takes an action that's going to reveal her, they're not going to be able to find her. And 2 or 3 key models are going to have to try to detect her, which could blow an activation if they screw up their dice rolls. And if Harakichi's there, he could try to make sure of it. So I like her a lot. So she was my honorable mention. She just does a lot for Silvermoon, and giving them just 1 extra activation a turn could be ball busting on a faction that just really messes with you on many levels. Jason, can you go, or you want to go with your honorable?
Yeah. So I know I've thrown out a lot of honorable mention names, but the one that I decided to go with was Rocky. He's my honorable mention.
Oh, yes. So Rocky, I'll go over him real quick here so you can talk him. So Rocky is an 8 key. I guess it's an each, even though they don't have a...
You can take 2 Rockies on the back.
Okay, so on the back, that's why I'm seeing it. It's been a while. So you can take 2 of the little Kamis of luck, the little golden Buddhas. He has a 1 melee pool. He can move 3. He's going to move and pull 3, 1 range pool, 0 and 2 key. So basically, he's got 2 wounds, or he has 2 key. Can hold up to 2 key. He is unarmed. He has -1 melee pool. He's not going to be fighting much. He has Believer. You have to be in base to base. It's a friendly model, and it's 1. He's defensive, so that one melee pool has to go into defense. He's durable. He's insignificant. He's Kami. He's soulless, and he's tough 1. So does lots of good things. What makes him really cool? It's his unique effects. When this model suffers a wound from melee attack, the attacker gains a 1 spirit block marker. Okay, so I'm not lit on fire, I'm not knocked down or whatever I do when I hit a rock Kami.
You just take a point of damage.
Just take a point of damage. He just makes sure you don't get key next turn. But it's the other crap that he does. In the starting phase of each turn, this model gains a luck token. Hooray! Whenever a friendly model within 6 inches makes a fear test, attack roll, defense roll, damage roll, or opposed key test, this model may spend the token and to re-roll 1 of the dice. So anything within 6 inches of him can have, if he spends the luck token, can re-roll 1 of the dice for any particular roll that they've made. Yay! Or during the starting phase, you may remove this model from play, roll 3d6, and put the dice to one side, but keeping the results. Or keep this model in play, roll a d6, and put 1 die to the side and play, but keeping the result. At any point during the turn, when a player friend or foe. I added the friend or foe part, but when a player would make a dice roll, before dice are rolled, you could substitute one of your dice that will be rolled for one of these dice. Any of the other dice are rolled as normal, but the result of this dice is the chosen one. So essentially, it's kind of I don't want to say poor man's preordained, but it's a poor man's preordained. I'll roll a d6.
Mini preordained. That's what I literally wrote on my card or my little note sheet.
So yeah, go ahead, J-Cell. I'll let you take it from here for your honorable mention.
I mean, I think Rocky for 8 points does an awful lot. He's maybe, I don't know, some of the other commies do some really interesting stuff, but he's very thematic. Being the golden Buddha that walks around and like, here, I help you. Especially being a commie that comes with Believer. Come to respect that ability like hell. And then also access to luck tokens. So you get access to 2 rather very powerful abilities for the cost of 8 rice. I know you can get a 2-point enhancement card to you get a 2-point enhancement card that can give you the luck token, but I mean, just the fact that you also get the activations and a bunch of other stuff, and plus the mini preordain where you get the what I call the spirit die every turn and 3 dice if you need to sacrifice him. Definitely worth the 8 points. And I know it annoys the hell out of other people because it's just another access to a reroll that I have. So
access to a reroll, you're dictating. So and again, those luck dice, you're going to roll a 1 at some point, and so now you're just sitting there. You're sitting there with that 1d6 sitting on the side. You see that 1, and you know he's going to use it to screw you.
Pretty much.
Well, even though he only has 1 die melee, you know that when you go in to try and kill this stupid thing, it's going to roll a freaking 6 in defense every time.
And then it being tough 1 too, so you can't just like easy pink him on the 1 or the 2, where it's like there's a chance he'll shrug it off.
Yeah, he's dumb. I usually just avoid him at all costs because it's like whatever. I'm not going to kill it, so what's the point?
Also, I put it here. It's kind of fun to have lucky Buddhas on your side because you can take 2 of them if you, for some weird reason, you wanted to. I think that's a little overkill, but just having like a golden Buddha running around like, luck tokens for everybody, fuck yous to everybody else, and just kind of doing that. So for 8 rice, I think he's a solid honorable mention. There's a bunch of other models in there, but I wanted to just kind of call him out because I think that sometimes he could be overlooked compared to like all the other support models, because I can't really any of the support models in Silvermoon, you can't not recommend them. They all do something awesome. It's just how you want to kind of build it up from there.
Yeah, if you want to, you want to punish your opponent for spending key, then you go with old Zoe, so that way he gains the key for it. If you want to do something, there's plenty of models that just do it. You want to make your model stop, you take Shosuke, as they kind of run in and he goes stop.
You want to frustrate the hell out of your opponent, you take Fuku,
yeah. All right, so that leaves Cody. What is your honorable mention, sir?
So this was actually probably one of the hardest choices.
Agreed. This is my hardest one besides my number 3. Was like, okay, what is my honorable mention going to be, and what the hell's my number 3 going to be?
Number 3. Well, my 1 through 3 were. I don't want to say easy because, like I said, I had a heck of a time because there's so many good choices in Silvermoon.
There is.
That's one thing. I don't really think that there's anything that really outshines except maybe Harukichi. Like, he was always going to be my number 1, but I really feel like 2, 3, and honorable mention could literally just do what I did for my honorable mention. I put basically half the faction in a random name generator and let it go, and you'll never guess who it picked.
Who did it pick?
It picked Wasapu.
So it's your number 2, or wait, no, Wasapu wasn't. Yeah,
Wasapu was my number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I was going to talk about Cade, but it's Wasapu.
See, it's fate. The gods know it. He is our Lord and Savior. All praise to be that is Wasapu.
Wasapu is there. Since you brought up Cade, let's talk about Cade, because that's one of those figures that everybody kind of talks about. And again, if you're looking at getting into Silvermoon, he's probably something you want to definitely consider. So we'll
Plus,
as-
he's also like, I didn't take it was until recently that I figured out how the hell to actually use him, because I could have gotten him like years ago, but I just
Yeah.
never did, because it's like, I'm never going to use this guy. He doesn't make sense. But after you figure out how to use him, he's kind of up there on the curve, unless if you have someone cheat and tell you how to use him.
right.
Then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I need him like yesterday.
So
I just had to rebuy them because I can't find mine.
Oh my god.
So really quick on Cade. So Cade is a 12 rice Kabuki Shite. He has a 2 melee pool, which he could boost for 3 key. He has a 4 movement pool. He has 2 range pool. He has a key stat of 2, which he could boost by spending 3 key, and he could hold up to 8. He has a dagger, or it has a dagger, which is melee strength 0. Traits of disguise 4, fortune, insignificant, slow, and willpower. Then it has 2 key feats: Heed My Word, which is a 2 key simple action target within 6 inches. Don't have someone base to base with Cade. Or Misdirection, 2 key simple target 6 inches. What do those key feats do? Heed My Word is probably the really popular one.
That's the main reason why I wanted to talk about him.
Is perform a walk with the target model. If the target model is an enemy, you must first succeed in an opposed key test with that target model. So it does 2 things. I could use it on my friendly models without having to make a test, and I could have them take a walk without losing an activation counter. That's pretty sweet. Again, anything that saves you activation counters and moves you up the board, so much the better. Or you could force your enemy to make, do the opposed key test. If they lose, then you get to walk them probably and turn them around and walk them in a different direction.
And that's exactly what I do. And I think they also clarified that, because some people were like, that's ridiculous, you shouldn't be able to. And I was like, nope, you can.
You're heeding my word. I'm saying walk over there, and so you're walking that way.
And then
Walk
turn
this
around
way.
and do
Go
a
to
little
like
spin.
episode whatever where Jason and I played our Adepticon list, and you watch my freaking bull just get annihilated because it got walked into Wasapu.
Yep, and turned around. And
Turned
I mean,
around.
to your credit, you
Turned
kept Wasapu on the baseline. Still
Every
shot you,
now
but
and then my coward doesn't listen to me and get shot in the back.
It's like Ash's Charizard.
and that's the ultimate Gary Oak move that I pulled right there. I'm
Yes,
still
yep.
sticking with it.
It works. And then misdirection. Target model has no zone of control, and models may choose not to be considered in base to base with it when declaring and performing their actions. So really kind of nice. And again, no key test to do it. You just say, yeah, this guy who's kind of protecting this objective, he doesn't have a zone of control, and I could choose not to be in base to base with it, so I'll just walk away. So really nice to get you out of a jam. He has several unique effects, of which only one of them make any kind of sense to me. This model cannot target Ken. Who is Ken? We don't know.
For those of you in the Silvermoon channel, restart the clock.
This
The
model
I'm making for Temple.
There you go. This model can draw line of sight through Ken. And ignores Ken and Ken's zone of control for all game purposes. This model cannot move through Ken. Good to know. Then there's Joe. Begin the game with Joe. Each model using Fortune may reflip the coin. In the starting phase of any turn, you may lose Joe and gain Ha for the rest of the game. So remember how you're saying, oh yeah, I don't want to necessarily do Fortune because that could really kind of F me up if I blow that roll. Welcome Cade. No range, so it's all over the board, and just flip it. Oh man, I blew it. Flip it again. Yay. Safety.
Pro move, just because this did happen at Adepticon, and to help people who may be struggling fighting against that, if you can somehow manage to get a control marker and keep it over to Cade on to the next turn, you can force him to sleeve Joe and go to Ha, because it's not a token or anything. So you can force the next stage so that we can get rid of that.
Well, geez, I don't even have to talk about my honorable mention. You guys are saying everything for me.
Ha loses this model loses insignificant and slow, so helpful if you need to score some points late game. And Q. In the final turn of the game, while this model is in play, every time a model with a Rice Cross greater than 10, is that correct? Is removed from play, another model in the same warband loses an activation counter.
great if you're ahead on scoring and you're just suiciding or you're killing their models.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah. So, and he's a small base model, or it's a small base model. So, yeah, that's Cade. What I just don't like him, and I still haven't really wrapped my head around him too much. But man, he's very effective at helping you move up the board quickly. I can see, and helping
That's
you
that's
use
the
fortune.
main thing. The reflip from Joe is like the main reason why you take him,
Mhm.
but also having Heed My Word, which he can reflip his own fortune. So if you do it right and you start with 4 key, you can get 2 models up their base 4 or 5, whatever they move.
Mhm.
Um,
Most of them 4, but Satsuko moves 5.
yeah,
All the roses move 5.
I think all the roses are 5, but
And I think you can move some of the animals. So the
yeah, because
cheetah could
it's
reach
just a
up there.
target model. So even a silverback, you can move it into position. You can really move your stuff. Or oh crap, Hiroto just came in on the side. Let me move my model away, or let me turn so he doesn't get surprised. Stuff like that. So it's just it. That's the main reason. I don't think Cade is by any means an auto include,
No.
but I also don't think you suffer if you take him because he does enough to get your 12 rice out. And I mean, I've had him kill something before just because I had him. I was like, why not? Let's have him go into combat. But the big thing with him is you just have to remember he's insignificant
Yeah.
Until you
and
go
slow.
So
to
Yaha. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like him. I think he's a goofy looking model and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would love
Love
to
to see
see
them do a
something.
kabuki theme
Yeah,
with different kabuki actors. That would be so cool.
that'd be awesome. Maybe that's when Ken comes out. I know on the boards they've talked and they're like, yeah, we had all the rules for Ken, and then basically
he
a
went
bunch of
into
other
another
crap
model or
came out.
something.
Yeah, and
Then Ken got created, but in the form of another model somehow. I think is what this
yeah,
talk was.
it'd be funny if like Ken was some like giant female Buto geisha looking thing. That'd be hilarious.
That would
Probably
be.
another kabuki. It's gonna be my guess. Oh, but
But yeah, that's like I said, the honorable mention slot. You can really just throw it in a random name generator, and you can't really go wrong for the most part.
yeah,
But
It will just always throw Wasapu out because Wasapu is the way.
I should roll that again and
WWD,
see
what
if
would Wasapu do?
yeah. See, I don't know if you can even see it. Nope, you can't
Oh
really
my
read it, but
gosh.
it says Wasapu. I was so disappointed. I was like about ready to chuck my phone across the basement.
I can't get away from this damn model.
So yeah, I mean, I I think that again, one of the strengths of Silvermoon is they have a lot of affordable models. The Butos are pretty expensive, but if you're going with Butos, there's a reason you're going with Butos is because you really want to have the big, powerful beatdown guys. But everything else is pretty damn affordable. So you're taking high numbers, and so that means you could do some fun things. You could maybe throw one real pricey like a Dafukaya or maybe a Buto in there, or you just go with lots of numbers, high activations, and they probably make the most out of high activation lists. I mean, Bakemono do it just by sheer numbers. I think Silvermoon, because they can't keep getting those numbers back, the activations and the large numbers of them tend to be a little more effective. Plus, they have the backing of the support, which
Yes.
And support either by model or by card because they do have some of the best support cards.
yeah. So can't go
Hotai's
wrong.
Blessing or whatever it is.
Hotai's
Oh,
Blessing.
yes, Hotai's Blessing.
God,
Yes.
I hate that card.
Well, it was awesome for everybody else when it was generic, and then it went to its rightful place in Silvermoon.
Yeah. Stupid.
All right, so that brings us to the portion where we have to agree on a top three. So I'm already gonna throw out there. I think our number one is pretty much locked.
Well, yeah,
Which is
considering that it was
Arcade.
all of our number ones.
No, I disagree. I'm just kidding.
Way to be a contrarian.
No.
Way to be Ken.
Reset the clock.
So So number 1, Harakichi. What would number 2 be? Would it be safe to say Wasapu would be number 2?
Sadly.
Yeah. I mean, the random name generator pulled it. So
I'm pretty sure it wasn't random. I'm sure somebody. It's a Silvermoon trick. They said it. They rigged it.
I mean, he is our Lord and Savior, so it's all good.
And I had like 13 or 14 names in there, and that's the
there's a
first one
lot.
that pops up. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Kind of funny. So I think just, and again,
I
go ahead.
think Wasapu's okay at number 2, even though it's just because I hate him. But if you look at some of the other discussions we've had, you look at Show, for example, in Jung Pirates. He's a 9 rice model. He's basically taken in every single list because he's 9 rice, but he's an effective fighter. Well, Wasapu's only 2 rice, 3 if you take lucky number 8 more, but he's shooting the shit out of everything.
Yeah,
He's hitting above his weight class.
he definitely could punch above his weight class. And then there's other ways to get him more effective, whether it's by monkeying with his dice rolls or taking a kami that's going to, a fire kami,
Exactly.
because you get him to be able to give him more hitting power and whatnot. He just
Yeah.
he has a lot of flexibility, and like Jason said, he punches above his weight class.
Yeah, so he's almost auto include, not because he's Wasapu, but just because in the scheme of grunts, he even though he's unique, he does what he needs to at that rice cost.
Yeah, I take, because there's Wasapu and Senpu, which are kind of the named Kayukan. And I still am going to take Wasapu. And again, I think it's maybe
I'm
because
taking
I have
Wasapu all day, every day over Senpu.
I think it's
tough
just because
to use.
I prefer ranged. I think range can be very effective, and Wasapu does it more effectively than most.
Well, and not even just with that, but you look at Senpu. Senpu can only melee,
Right.
where Wasapu can shoot you, and then he can get into melee. He's not effective, as effective
That's not what
as
he's
Senpu,
That's
but
his strength.
he's also not going to just stand there with 1 or 2 dice and be like, what do I do now?
Right. It just means Senpu becomes a little more of a flipper, whereas Wasapu may become a flipper.
It's pretty much like that. Senpu is, a lot of people don't take him. I take him from time to time because, I mean, honestly, for what the extra 2 points you're paying for him, I mean, that's the equivalent of getting, like, you could get the nunchuck guys and they are just far more effective at 8 points.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. That's like,
short of you getting combo, which is, again, it's still tough for him to get combo regularly.
Yeah. And I don't think Senpu's bad. When you look at things, it's like Wasapu's up here, and then Senpu's way down here, with
That
the
gap is
cheaper
pretty
guys
big.
being above.
Yeah. All right, so that would be our number 2. Number 3 becomes a little more of a challenge. We had Dafukaya, we had Satsuko,
we had Manu and
Yokozuna. We had Yokozuna. Surprise mystery random choice for number 3.
I would say Satsuko would probably be okay, because I mean, there was at least some commonality agreement between you two. And Satsuko was one that, I mean, like, I thought about her when I was thinking of as a number 3, but it was just kind of, I don't know, like, she's good for what she does, or she's extremely good for what she does, but again, it just falls into where I haven't had a chance to use her that much. So everything that I'd be talking about her would be more of like, this is what she looks like on paper versus like what I've actually done when I've played the faction.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to Satsuko being like the number 3, unless if there's like really something else. Otherwise, Defukaya, I mean, just for the props, because I'm not going to lie. He still can be one way or the other, but I mean, he should get some credit, besides also just, if you're really good at painting, he'd be a really cool fucking model.
He is a cool model. Got to do a lot of tattoos and whatnot. I'm probably going to go with Satsuko, because and I really want to go with Dafukaya just because it depends on how you're looking to play. If you're looking for a low-cost support model that's going to give an extra activation out, and if you believe that activations are the key to this game, is the most important resource, you're going with Satsuko.
Agreed.
If you're looking to amplify damage and have a solid fighter, then Dafukaya is your man, because he is a solid fighter and he could bring in a 8-point model that will amplify everybody else's fighting ability. Well, I should say fighting ability. Their fighting strength by being able to throw out fire. I mean, Waspoo's nasty, and the Kayukahan crossbowmen are nasty just by themselves, and range could be somewhat effective. But now add to that you're going to boost their range strength by 1 and put fire tokens out on everything that you hit in damage. So that's kind of nice. But I have to lean towards Satsuko. I mean, I would love to be able to say, I'll be honest, the only reason I didn't look at Fuku at all is because he's so new and we haven't really played him.
He had
He's
too many
solid.
words on the back of his card, so I didn't even look at it.
Too wordy.
He is wordy, and honestly, Fuku still does rely a lot on other models. But I mean, if you can get him to
He's
work,
13 points.
if you can get him to work, I mean, like he will frustrate the hell out of your opponent, as I definitely, saw firsthand at our store.
Yeah, but he doesn't give activations.
No, to kind of just play a little devil's advocate, I could argue Manu strictly because of the throw attack and defense. As far as activations go, if you're successful at those, your opponent's losing the 1 activation and then probably a second just to stand up with that model, so he can really any of the Buto could slot in there. I would say Buto in general would be a great honorable mention, strictly because of the way they play. But yeah, just if you're able to get those throws off, whether it's attack or defense, it can really be disheartening to play against.
Yes, it can.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're just going to go just to kind of wrap things up here quickly is Satsuko, because all 3 of us had her in some way, shape, or form, whether it's an honorable mention or within our top 3.
Or just thinking about her.
Or just thinking about her. 2 of the 3 of us had her in there.
She is Smexy, so
so we'll put her in there. But again, as we've mentioned, Silvermoon's tough because, again, there are a lot of good choices out there, and you could build a lot of things. And one of the things that when Jason would go to early tournaments was you always want to take these weird combinations. You almost can play Silvermoon without one of the major themes and still have a solid list.
And that's what I did all the time. Even I didn't even take Order for Battle
before Order for Battle was cool. He wasn't even taking it. And now there's some new. I didn't even get to the Ronin that are out there for Silvermoon that could play really good. My personal favorite, Kenamina, out of that model is.
I almost said her for my honorable mention.
I thought about her, but because she was Ronin, I did not.
Yeah, that's the only reason I didn't. But I think Silvermoon's probably the one faction that would benefit most from strategic deployment.
Yeah.
Having 2 lists,
yeah, because you could take build a list around idols, whether it's flipping or grabbing idols, and then you could have your zone control Budo, heavy Daifukaya, something along those lines, and your theme list essentially, your strategic deployment, but so you can intermingle the Jade Roses with the Budo and so on and so forth.
Yeah, pick your best combinations on those.
Yeah. So the only problem with that is with Silvermoon, you're probably bringing like 30 models to a tournament then, but
it's the War Machine days. Hooray!
Yeah.
All right. So just to kind of put a bow on everything. So for our top 3 that we've kind of discussed, we're going to go with Satsuko number 3. We are going with Wasapu number 2.
Our Lord and Savior.
Number 1, Harakichi, everyone's favorite race-eating Ayuban.
I picked him.
You sure the random name generator didn't pick him for you too?
No, he was in my top 3. He kept sliding in different spots, and I just settled at number 1.
Again, to be perfectly honest, any of those models that we had in there could have gone there, and there are other choices I would have loved to have put in there that could have gone in the top 3 or into my honorable mention. I like these. The ones that I picked personally are either because they've been used very effectively against me and frustrate the bejesus out of me, or I think that they are very, in general, they're just extremely effective models.
Same.
Which is Satsuko, because we really haven't seen her that much yet because Jason hasn't painted her.
True. I will have painted her twice soon.
Yeah, okay, rub it in.
But what we would love to hear is what your thoughts are, because again, Silvermoon is quite diverse. If you haven't played Silvermoon, do you have any questions about it? What do you think would be a good model for Silvermoon for your list and your play style? If you've played against Silvermoon, what model frustrates the absolute crap out of you? I'm sure there's got to be 1 or 10 that
Other
do
than
it.
Wasapu, because we all
Other
know
than
he annoys
Wasapu.
everybody.
Yes, everybody knows Wasapu. Everybody hates and despises him. Um,
I just want him in my factions.
You can if you play Ronin. I already told you. I gave everybody the cheat code.
No. So lots to choose from. Would love to see comments on that. So please give us some love. Show us some comments, whether it's here on the
YouTube page,
I was getting
Facebook.
there. Facebook, or on we don't have a Discord thing, but just in the normal content channel when we post up there, just underneath it, just tell us about it, or even just in the Silvermoon board there. If you
Whoa!
it.
Let's be careful with that. We don't want to cause another great reckoning of the Silvermoon
another
board
reset
going
of the
down.
Silvermoon board. Click the great reset.
The great reset.
No. We'll keep
the
it
snap.
civil.
The snap
We will
happens
keep it
again.
civil. For sure.
We don't need that to happen again.
The Harakuchi snap.
Yeah.
That was just his chopstick.
That was his chopstick snapping, and it reset the Silvermoon boards again.
Exactly. So again, give us some comments. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. As always, thank you so much for listening and watching. We do appreciate it. We do enjoy doing these things. The funny thing is even before we started, I think we were talking for a half hour and then realized, hey, maybe we need to actually start.
Yeah, we did.
It's better than Master Enos's one where we were like, hey guys, and 20 minutes in, they're like, I don't think someone hit the record button.
Well, that was my fault because I'm old. And I gotta watch that stuff. But we do appreciate you watching, and if you're enjoying what you're seeing, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell, tell us that you like what we're doing. We would appreciate that. And as always, subscribe. We are still on our quest for 300. So help us get there if you are new to watching the channel or have watched for a while and have been on the fence about jumping on and doing that. We're hoping to have some more battle reports here in the near future. Just got to get the gear out to either the local gaming store or people in-house to game here.
I just need to show up.
Well, that would help too. Yeah. And then, just from the Gaming on the Guys radar, we're about a month out from a small tournament that I will be hosting at RockCon at Rockford, Illinois.
First place.
Okay.
Cody's already calling it. So if you'd like a shot at taking down the Grand Master, RockCon's your place to be. I'm pretty sure there's openings. With that being said, thank you again for watching. We do appreciate it. We do enjoy doing this. We hope you are enjoying watching, and we hope to see you soon again. So have a great day or evening, wherever you may be. Have a good night.
Kuşa çalgınlar